The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning. Joblessness up. The rate jumps to 10.8%. The unemployment rate declining, jobs trend across the islands. The F&M says the latest job data is devastating news. 2 men murdered, 1 injured during a shooting. And we are talking about prostate cancer awareness month, what men need to know. That's all I had this morning. I'm Dwight, Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning in our business segment, we are talking with NIB, our monthly series with them. They are celebrating their 51st anniversary and a lot going on. We'll get all the details about that this morning. That's all I had, but first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, 2 men murdered and another man injured during a shooting on James Road off Kemp Road in New Providence yesterday. Police say the shooting happened shortly before 3 p.m. when masked gunmen approached a group of men and began firing. Chief Superintendent Shariah King saying a man in his mid-50s was shot and killed during the gunfire. She said 2 other men, one in his early 20s and another in his 70s, were also shot. Both men were taken to the hospital. She said the elderly man was listed in stable condition. The younger man was listed in critical condition and later succumbed to his injuries. Police say the shooters fled the scene and remain at large. They're appealing to anyone with information to come forward. Give them a call at 911 or call Crime Stoppers. Unemployment in the Bahamas jumping to 10.8% in the first quarter of 2025, up from 9% in the fourth quarter of 2024. That's according to the latest figures from the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, the BNSI. The unemployment rate, which stood at 8.7% in the first and second quarters of 2024, initially fell to 7.2% in the third quarter of last year before steadily climbing. The government has repeatedly boasted about the previously reported unemployment rate of 8.7%, the country's lowest recorded jobless rate since 2008, with Prime Minister Philip Davis telling Parliament in June that a reduced unemployment showed his administration's strategies were bearing fruit. The 10.8% rate exceeds the pre-pandemic unemployment rate of 9.5% recorded in 2019. Officials have not said what they think is behind the latest rise in joblessness. In the first quarter of 2025, the total labor force was 240,650 people. There were 119,085 women and 121,568 men in the labor force. More women, more than 13,000, were unemployed than men at more than 12,000. The national unemployment rate was 11.2% for women and 10.4% for men. Youth unemployment in the first quarter of 2025 remained high at 20.9%, with more unemployed young women, 21.7%, than young men at 20.3%. This is an increase from the 19% youth unemployment reported in the second quarter of 2024. BNSI's report says that there were 214,725 people employed during the first quarter of 2025, with men making it more than half, 50.7% of the employed labor force. Meanwhile, Shadow Minister of Finance Kwesi Thompson says the latest numbers show the country has been, quote, put into reverse. Thompson says the data shows that the Bahamian economy has lost 5,571 jobs, calling it devastating news. Works and Family Island Affairs Minister Clay Sweeting brushing off questions over whether the Davis administration will introduce local government in New Providence, which was a promise the party made ahead of the 2021 general election. Sweeting saying during a press conference yesterday, quote, my belief is that we should ensure that local government in the Family Islands function properly before we enact it in New Providence, where you have 75% of the population. Our local government, the idea of local government was to bring government closer to the people, and with the new act that was passed, we've started to enact those changes. As noted, local government reform was a pledge of the PLP's pre-election document, Our Blueprint for Change, and was mentioned in the 2021 speech from the throne, with the Davis administration promising to work towards the finalization of local government, a local government act for New Providence. However, 4 years in, the administration has not followed through on that commitment. Responding to a claim by U.S. President Donald Trump that there is a link between acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, and autism, the Public Hospitals Authority saying it has not received any official warnings from manufacturers or vendors regarding the drug. In a statement, the PHA saying that it acknowledges recent inquiries concerning acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol, following remarks made by the President of the United States. It said, quote, at this time, the PHA has not received any official notifications, recalls, or directives regarding acetaminophen from manufacturers or vendors. We will, however, continue to closely monitor the situation and remain in communication with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, which is the competent authority for issuing guidance in such matters. Though he did not provide adequate scientific research to support his claims, Trump shared that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is set to inform doctors that mothers using Tylenol during pregnancy can be linked to an increased risk of autism. The active ingredient in Tylenol also the same in Panadol. A 40-year-old man of New Providence remanded to prison on child molestation charges. Prosecutors allege the man, whose name has been withheld, sexually abused his stepdaughter from January 2021 to 2023. The man faced 2 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse with a dependent and 2 counts of indecent assault when he appeared before Magistrate Abigail Farrington. Prosecutors say that the man had unlawful sexual intercourse with the girl in 2021 when she was 11 and 12 years old. He's accused of indecently assaulting the girl in December 2022 at age 13, and in August 2023 at age 14. He was not required to enter pleas to the charges and was denied bail. However, he was advised of his right to apply for bail in the Supreme Court. The matter has been adjourned to January 20th, 2026. And prosecutors have dropped a murder charge against a suspect. Jonathan Lee Amia appeared before Justice Wilhelmina Archer-Mins for the start of his murder trial on Monday. But instead of calling witnesses, prosecutors presented a nolle prosequi that brought the matter to an end. As a result of the decision not to prosecute the matter, the jury was discharged. Prosecutors alleged that Amia was responsible for the March 13, 2020 shooting death of Cynthia Bertha Wilson. She was killed outside of her home on Lazaretto Road in New Providence. Overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump castigating the United Nations as a feckless institution in a speech to the world body on Tuesday, praising the turn America has taken under his leadership, while warning Europe that it will be ruined if it doesn't turn away from a, quote, double-tailed monster of ill-conceived migration and green energy policies. His roughly hour-long speech before the UN General Assembly was both grievance-filled and self-congratulatory, as he used the platform to applaud his second-term achievements and lament that some of his fellow world leaders' countries were, quote, going to hell. The address was the latest reminder for U.S. allies and foes of the United States after a 4-year interim under a more internationalist president, Joe Biden, has returned to an America First posture. Trump has sharply criticized the global body for inaction, saying it was filled with, quote, empty words that don't, quote, solve wars. Trump said, quote, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. Afterward, Trump attempted to assuage fears of some diplomats by assuring the top UN leader that the U.S. remained 100% supportive of the global body despite his earlier criticism. He trumpeted himself as a peacemaker and enumerated successes of his administration's efforts in several hotspots around the globe. At the same time, Trump heralded his decisions to order the U.S. military to carry out strikes on Iran and more recently against alleged drug smugglers from Venezuela, and argued that globalists are on the verge of destroying successful nations. Trump also touted his administration's policies allowing for expanded drilling for oil and natural gas in the U.S., and aggressively cracking down on illegal immigration, suggesting that more countries should follow suit. He sharply warned that European nations that have more welcoming migration policies and commit to expensive energy projects aimed at reducing their carbon footprint were causing irreparable harm to their economies and cultures. And Trump also addressed Russia's war in Ukraine, once again threatening to hit Moscow with a very strong round of powerful tariffs, his words, if Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't come to the table to end the war. And he pushed back on longtime American allies who are using this year's General Assembly to spotlight the growing international campaign for recognition of a Palestinian state, a move that the U.S. and Israel vehemently oppose. France became the latest nation to recognize Palestinian statehood Monday at the start of the high-profile meeting at the UN, aimed at galvanizing support for a two-state solution in the Middle East. The president also took part in a group meeting with officials from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates and Jordan for talks on focusing on ending the Gaza war. In sports, the race to the 2025 Bahamas Government Departmental Basketball Association Finals continuing over the past few days at the A of Adderley Gym. The Crime Stoppers, the defending champions, closing out their series 3-1 against their rival, the Bain and Grantstown Cybots. Booking another trip to the championship round, they edged out the Cybots 77-76. Meanwhile, the battle continues between the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture Panthers and the Nassau Flight Services. They will go to a decisive Game 5 tonight. The Panthers defeated the Ballers 75-73 in Game 3 of the best-of-5 semifinals over the weekend, and the Ballers bounced back to win Game 4 79-64 to even the series 2. Bahamian baseball star Jazz Chisholm Jr. is set for a big payday. Chisholm, who becomes a free agent after next year, had 3 hits Tuesday night, and the New York Yankees walked it off against the Chicago White Sox season spot. Prior to Tuesday night, Chisholm had already begun discussions with the Yankees on a possible contract extension that could make him one of the highest-paid second basemen in Major League Baseball. Last night's performance solidifying that position. The Bahamian star had 3 singles, stole a base, and scored a run. The Yankees won 3-2 on a walk-off hit from Jose Caballero in the bottom of the 9th inning to pull to within a game of the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East Division, clinching a postseason spot for the 8th time in the last 9 years. They won in dramatic fashion at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx Tuesday night. Chisholm had 3 of the 11 hits for the Yankees. You can read more about what his contract extension might look like in today's Guardian Sports section. And the New York Liberty will not renew Coach Sandy Brondello's contract for next season. Brondello led the Liberty to its first WNBA championship in 2024, but the team struggled with injuries to star players Brianna Stewart and Bahamian Jonquel Jones. New York earned the number 5 seed in the playoffs and lost in the first round to the Phoenix Mercury. Back to Major League Baseball, robot umpires are getting called into the big leagues next season. Major League Baseball's 11-man competition committee on Tuesday approved use of the automated ball strike system in the major leagues in 2026. Human plate umpires will still call balls and strikes, but teams can challenge 2 calls per game and get additional appeals in extra innings. Challenges must be made by a pitcher, catcher, or batter, signaled by tapping their helmet or cap, and a team retains its challenge. If successful, reviews will be shown as digital graphics on outfield video boards. New York Yankees outfielder Austin Slater, one of 4 players on the competition committee, said 3 voted in favor after getting support from 22 of the 30 teams. All 6 management reps voted in favor. Big league umpires call roughly 94% of pitches correctly according to ump scorecards. But adding the robot umps is likely to cut down on ejections. Major League Baseball said 61.5% of ejections among players, managers, and coaches last year were related to balls and strikes, as were 60.3% this season through Sunday. The figures include ejections for derogatory comments, throwing equipment while protesting calls, and inappropriate conduct. That's sports. And that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. First look at weather brought to you by Star General. There is a risk of isolated strong to severe thunderstorms across the northern and northwest Bahamas today. These storms have the potential to produce strong gusty winds, heavy downpours, frequent lightning, and possible waterspout and or tornadic activity today. And lingering troughing combined with streaming tropical moisture will continue to elevate the chance for showers and thunderstorms across most of the country through tonight. Expect temporary drier conditions across the country tomorrow, Thursday, as troughing dissipates across the area. But by late Thursday night or Friday morning, the northern portion of a tropical wave is expected to move west-northwest over the southeast Bahamas, producing moderate to heavy rainfall, fresh breezes, and moderate sea swells. The wave could strengthen into a low-pressure system by late Friday or Saturday. And we've got to keep an eye on this thing. Regardless of whether it fully develops, though, this disturbance has the potential to produce unsettled weather across most of the Bahamas this weekend as it tracks northward. And we all have to continue to monitor it. So there is a risk of flooding during heavy or prolonged rainfall events, as well as in already flooded water, areas flooded with water now. And there's a moderate to high risk of recurrence along Atlantic exposed beaches in the northern and northwest Bahamas due to Hurricane Gabrielle all the way out there in the Atlantic, but still impacting us in that way. Beachgoers and swimmers should exercise caution while visiting those beaches. So for today, forecast for the northern Bahamas, extreme northern islands, variably cloudy to occasionally overcast, becoming fair at night with a 30 to 40% chance of scattered showers with thunderstorms, decreasing to 20% by night. For the rest of the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy, becoming variably cloudy tonight, 20 to 30% chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less, gusty in showers and thunderstorms. For the central islands, variably cloudy, 20% chance of showers and isolated thunderstorms. Winds easterly at 10 to 15 knots. And for the southeast Bahamas, mostly to partly sunny, becoming partly cloudy tonight. A 10 to 20% chance of isolated showers and possible thunderstorms, increasing to a 30% chance by tonight. For boaters, winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less, gusty in showers and thunderstorms for the northern and northwest Bahamas. Easterly at 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 knots for the central and southeast Bahamas. Temperature-wise, look for highs around 90, 91 Fahrenheit today, 32, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make it feel like it's anywhere from 104 Fahrenheit, 40 Celsius, to 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius today. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 80, 81 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook and another look at the tropics in just a bit. That's all ahead. This weather check brought to you by Star General Insurance, made simple.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way.
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing today's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Wake up, it's a new day.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Wake up, it's a new day.
When it comes to hearts at Cleveland Clinic, you can't miss a beat. You seek the best care possible, work with the brightest minds, and leave no stone unturned to get to the heart of the matter. Because understanding is always the first step to overcoming. for every heart in the world. See how we're advancing the future of heart care at Cleveland Clinic today.
Your solution for rising gas prices and expensive car maintenance has landed. Brand new 2026 electric vehicles from BYD have arrived at Easy Car Sales. Imagine no more gas and major savings on maintenance. Test drive a BYD EV today and save thousands with the car that redefines driving. Visit easy242.com for our 3 locations, in-house financing, and more. Easy Car Sales, the only authorized BYD dealer and warranty provider in the Bahamas.
This October, Bahama invites you to indulge your senses at the Culinary and Arts Festival, where world-class flavors meet breathtaking creativity in the heart of the Bahamas. Join us October 22nd through 26th for an unforgettable celebration featuring culinary legends Daniel Boulud, Marcus Samuelson, Dario Cecchini, and Simeon Hall Jr., alongside a vibrant lineup of Bahamian chefs and mixologists. Explore captivating art installations, interactive workshops, and live performances, all set against the stunning backdrop of Nassau's premier luxury resort. And don't miss an electrifying live performance by global superstar Lenny Kravitz, headlining the festival's welcome party on Friday, October 24th, with a concert experience you won't forget. This is more than a festival, it's a feast for the soul. Tickets and packages are going fast. Visit bahamar.com to reserve your spot at the Culinary and Arts Festival at Bahamar, where taste and talent take center stage. Bahamar, life spectacular.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas, Channel 969, and BTC Flow, Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robart is going to be joining us. Also this morning, we're in the middle of Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and we're going to talk with urologist Dr. Gregory Pinto, who has a show right here on Guardian Radio, but he's going to be with us this morning talking about this and what men need to keep in mind in regards to their prostate and why you need to take this seriously. That's coming up later in business. It's our monthly series with the National Insurance Board, and they're getting ready to celebrate their 51st anniversary. We're going to talk about that and a lot of the exciting things they have planned to mark that occasion. That's all ahead, but right now, it's time to get into what else is in the news. In the news, so much to talk about. The big headlines in the papers involving the unemployment rate. And, that has jumped to 10.8%, declining jobs across the islands. What's going on? We're going to get into that. Violence continues. 2 men dead during a shooting, as a result of a shooting in which 3 people were shot last night. We'll get to that in a bit as well. And what's going on in the U.S. with what U.S. President Donald Trump had to say to the UN and more. We'll get to all of those things, but I want to begin with the weather, though. And what we're watching in the tropics. So we've been telling you about this. There's a couple of things. There's Hurricane Gabrielle. That's no impact to us directly. Heading out to the Azores, but two other systems in the tropics are keeping an eye on. One that is going to be an issue for us. And so the Department of Meteorology says we've got to monitor this no matter how much it develops. It'll bring some issues to most of the Bahamas over the weekend, right? So it's a tropical wave that's expected to move over the southeast Bahamas by late Thursday or early Friday, producing moderate to heavy rainfall, fresh breezes, and moderate sea swells. The wave could strengthen into a low-pressure system by late Friday or Saturday, but regardless of whether it fully develops, the disturbance has the potential to produce unsettled weather across much of the Bahamas this weekend as it tracks northward. Right? So we've got to keep an eye on that. More from the National Hurricane Center, what they're saying about this. They're calling it Invest 94L, and they're saying that this tropical wave over the northeastern Caribbean Sea continues to produce a large area of disorganized showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds across much of the Windward and Leeward Islands. This wave is expected to move west-northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, spreading heavy rainfall and gusty winds into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands today, and across the Dominican Republic beginning tonight. The system is then expected to slow down and turn northwestward when it reaches the southwestern Atlantic in a couple of days. Environmental conditions are forecast to be more conducive for development late this week and weekend, and a tropical depression is likely to form when the disturbance is in the vicinity of the Bahamas. Interests in the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Bahamas should monitor the progress of this system. Formation chance through the next 48 hours is still pretty low at 30%, but through the next 7 days, high at 80%. So again, keep that in mind. If you have things planned for the weekend, you might need to be considering a plan B at the moment. Maybe not move to plan B yet, but have one ready, maybe even a plan C. So keep that in mind, folks. We'll keep you posted, of course, as we always do here on the Guardian News Network. All right, so that's going on there. Again, we'll keep you posted on that. But did you see U.S. President Donald Trump at the UN yesterday? What did you make of that? Let's get to it very briefly. We don't want what happened yesterday to happen today, but just some of these things have to be said. One of the things that really struck me and stuck out to me was that he said that climate change was basically the biggest hoax of our lifetime, essentially, paraphrasing there. And for the Bahamas, that's a tough pill to swallow, to hear anyone say that, right? But that wasn't all. So this is again from the Associated Press. Trump tells UN in speech that it is not even coming close to living up to its potential. U.S. President Donald Trump castigated the United Nations as a feckless institution in a speech to the world body on Tuesday, praising the turn America has taken under his leadership, while warning Europe it will be ruined if it doesn't turn away from a double-tailed monster of ill-conceived migration and green energy policies. His roughly hour-long speech before the UN General Assembly was both grievance-filled and self-congratulatory, as he used the platform to applaud his second-term achievements and lament that some of his fellow world leaders' countries were, quote, going to hell. Right there in front of them, he told them that they were going to hell. The address was the latest reminder for U.S. allies and foes of the United States after a 4-year interim under the more internationalist President Joe Biden has returned to an American first posture with an antagonistic view towards the United Nations. Trump sharply criticizing the global body for inaction, saying that it was filled with empty words that don't solve wars. He asked, "What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential." Afterward, Trump attempted to assuage fears from some diplomats by assuring the top UN leader that the U.S. remained 100% supportive of the global body, despite his earlier criticism, telling Secretary General Antonio Guterres, quote, "I may disagree with it sometimes, but I am so behind it because the potential for peace at this institution is great." He trumpeted himself as a peacemaker and enumerated successes of his administration's efforts in several hotspots around the globe. At the same time, he heralded his decisions to order the U.S. military to carry out strikes on Iran and more recently against alleged drug smugglers from Venezuela, and argued that globalists are on the verge of destroying successful nations. He warned about green scam and migration. He touted his administration's policies allowing for expanded drilling for oil and natural gas in the United States and aggressively cracking down on illegal migration, implicitly suggesting that more countries should follow suit. He sharply warned that European nations that have a more welcoming migration policy and commit to expensive energy projects aimed at reducing their carbon footprint were causing irreparable harm to their economies and cultures. He said, quote, "I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. If you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail." He said, quote, "I love the people of Europe, and I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer." Let's read that one more time. Trump said, quote, "I love the people of Europe, and I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer." I'm going to go back a little bit to this that he said, quote, "If you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, coming to your country is going to fail. I love the people of Europe, and I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration." Okay. He also addressed Russia's war in Ukraine, once again threatening to hit Moscow with a very strong round of powerful tariffs if Russian President Vladimir Putin does not come to the table to end the war. And he waited until after the speech and a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to announce a dramatic shift in his position on the war. He said he now believes Ukraine, with the help of NATO, can win back all territory lost to Russia. He pushed back against American allies who are recognizing a Palestinian state and saying, quote, "The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th. Early in his speech, he broke from his prepared remarks to bemoan an inoperable escalator in the UN headquarters that had happened as soon as he stepped on stepped on it, as well as a defective teleprompter, poking fun and eliciting laughs from the delegates, saying, quote, "These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter." A UN spokesperson said the escalator's abrupt stop happened after a videographer who accompanied the U.S. delegation may have triggered a built-in safety mechanism by walking backwards on it. The president, again, making it clear that he wants to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, repeating his claim that he's ended 7 wars since he returned to office. Saying, quote, "Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Prize, but for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless wars." He regularly points to his administration's efforts to end several conflicts around the world, including fighting between Israel and Iran, India and Pakistan, and Egypt and Sudan, saying, quote, "It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them." Sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. Although Trump helped mediate relations among many of the nations, experts say his impact isn't as clear-cut as he claims. But, well, okay. Wow. Let's get your reaction to all of that. Chester Robards, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Do I need to read that line again?
It's also very Trump, isn't it?
He loves the people of Europe. Don't let the double-tailed monster of people who you've never seen before, who have nothing in common with you, coming into your country. And the green energy scam. Okay. Wow. Climate change, a scam. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free. 242-300-5720. Did you watch any of it yesterday?
I didn't watch any of it.
Okay. You missed a
Not
great show.
Not only is climate change a scam, but kill the green energy.
Yeah, carbon credits. Jokey. Clownish.
Wow.
Nonsense.
Let's continue to pump the air with hydrocarbons.
What will that mean for the countries who are banking literally on it? Okay, let's hear from you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. You know, we are witnessing, and this is the first time it's ever happening in the history of the world, I think, the self-destruct from the inside of a current president of the United States. It appears as though, I mean, I'm sure he's concerned about the dragon and the bear representing China and Russia, because that's prophecy. Nothing he could do about that. But I am more concerned about the trick that he's trying to do with the crypto as the possibility of it writing off the U.S. national debt. And that could really be a problem for the world if he's able to pull that off. But I really like the way the king scolded him and told him that, you know, we no longer need tyrants in the world today. We need people who are solving problems. You heard that one?
No, the who?
The king will, you know, we call him king, king, whatever.
Our king? Anybody listen? Anybody listen to him?
He actually scolded him nicely at that UN.
Oh, okay.
He called him a tyrant, I think, something of that nature.
Okay, that's the equivalent of a feather falling on an elephant, I'm sure. But okay, I hear you.
Yeah, but seriously though, Dwight, is there any way we could get rid of him?
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know if I like where you're going. But, okay. You mean the king? We could become a republic. That's what you mean, right? Caller, good morning. You are on the air live. Good morning, caller. You're on the air live.
Dwight, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning.
I listened to President Trump yesterday, and there was so many things that I guess he was moving through so many different aspects of his speech, or what wasn't his speech. And as I followed him, his claims on climate change, and I've always said that if it's one thing as a people we should be horrified over President Trump's leadership, is his position on climate change. I don't know very many Bahamians who don't believe in the reality of climate change. And Donald Trump's position is really antithetical to our very survival. And I think that just that alone. But if you look at all the other aspects, I mean, for example, the evangelicals and even the Bahamian Christians who tend to find reasons to follow him, his way of bragging and taking credit all by himself for what he perceived to be his accomplishments is so anti-spiritual. You know, there are any number of examples of spiritual leaders in the Bible who God condemned because of their pride and bragging and boasting, taking credit for everything that they perceived they would have accomplished. It's very anti-Christian, and I can't see how Christians are so comfortable with that. As you transition into the conversation of jobs in the Bahamas, it'll be interesting to find out how modern or how recent that study is, because there are some good examples of jobs being created in the Bahamas from the Disney 200 to Celebration Key to almost 3,000 jobs, to the challenges that Royal Caribbean is having in filling their positions. I don't understand why we're seeing a climb in joblessness. But it'll be interesting to put all those factors next side by side, and I look forward to listening to the discussion, because that's pretty fascinating.
Well, this is for the Chester first quarter, right? This is before all those things happened. So it might be different.
So it's not recent.
Well, first quarter. They're always a little bit behind.
Well, I mean, why should we even be, or shouldn't we have the more recent job report? I mean,
you'll get that next year.
No, it's not reflecting where we are. So what relevance is it?
As you say, we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, that's first quarter of the year after the Christmas bump. That what you're bringing up is very interesting, and we will see when we get the next one whether that is reflected in it. Thank you very much. Okay. So just another perspective on this. This is from Time. That's still a thing? Time? Yeah? Online only? Did they print that? They publish that? Yeah, Time magazine. Anyway. So U.S. President Donald Trump called climate change, quote, the greatest con job ever perpetuated and a scam during his address to the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday. In a lengthy diatribe against the long-established science, President Trump said climate change was, quote, made by stupid people, and warned other countries against enacting green policies. He told the audience of more than 150 world leaders and other officials, including Prime Minister Philip Davis, quote, if you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people. They said global warming will kill the world, but then it started getting cooler. So now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. Well, okay, sure. But anyway, he also claimed that, quote, the carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. The science behind climate change is supported by decades of research showing the unprecedented warming rate of the Earth. Climate change is causing hotter temperatures, stronger and more frequent storms, and increased drought risk. There's a huge, massive typhoon, in China right now. It's already killing people. We'll get to that in a second. But increasing drought risk, among other issues. And while a 1989 statement from a UN official claimed that nations could be wiped off the earth by 2000, which Trump pointed to, that hasn't come true indeed, but there are rising concerns about how the effects of climate change are already impacting vulnerable communities. Weather-related disasters have caused 220 million internal displacements in the past decade, according to the UNHCR. Well. Okay. So what? What does that mean? What does that mean for the Bahamas? We know that whenever we get the opportunity, our Prime Minister gets up and talks about climate change and the impact, talks about Dorian, talks about all the things that we're seeing and how we could be, by 2070, a very different-looking country. If the world's largest superpower is talking like that, what does that mean for a tiny little country like this? Is anyone going to pay attention to this? Anyone?
I mean, we saw it before in his first term. I don't know if it's this kind of language.
This is like super Trump.
Yeah. This isn't even his final form.
Wow. By the way, as you mentioned, it's called Typhoon Ragasa, battering Hong Kong and South China after killing dozens in Taiwan and the Philippines. One of the strongest in years, whipping waves taller than lampposts onto Hong Kong's promenades and turning seas rough on the southern Chinese coast after leaving deadly destruction in Taiwan and the Philippines. They've recorded winds, maximum gusts around 150 miles per hour. Yeah, so that's praying for them. Wow. All right, let's see what's happening on the text line. You can continue to call in 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Okay, we've got a lot of text messages here. This person says here, Donald Trump is the biggest hoax this world's ever seen, in my opinion. Well, I don't know. He's very real. Very real. You liberals worry about the wrong things, really. You are concerned about climate change and ignore the illegal immigration issue. Nope, no one's doing that at all. You need to stop your nonsense. That's what you should be worried about. Okay, that's dumb. Dumb. If our politicians, past and present, were half of the man Trump is, then we would be in half better shape. Trump is a very smart and brave leader.
Okay.
Trump reminds me of the president in the movie. Okay, I don't want to. No, I'm not going to read that. I can't read that.
What?
I can't read that. But I love that movie. Thank you for saying that. I love that movie. Oh, man. Dwight, I am a small businessman. I have a small staff, but I still have to downsize the staff. BPL is a killer. You have to decide who you can pay not to close your business. BPL is taking a lot out of small business.
Wow.
Taking a lot out of everything.
Everybody. Yeah.
We're all suffering. Especially this month. Did you get your bill? You got your bill yet?
Yeah.
Did we talk about this, right? I told you mine was up $100 from last month. A whole 100.
Mine was basically the same.
Which was high.
Very much so.
Trump didn't do all those things. Lincoln Bain did, and Lincoln will usher in world peace once he's finished fixing the Bahamas and other countries in the Caribbean.
I'm sorry, what?
It could be a joke, but it probably isn't.
Oh.
It probably
what?
isn't
It
a joke.
isn't?
But we
No?
could not. It might not be, you know.
Okay.
The supporters are. Trump hates the colors green and black. What's new? Did you see Jimmy Kimmel's speech? Yes, I stayed up late. I'm amazed I'm up. Watching that last night. Did you watch Jimmy Kimmel? It was amazing. It was really good, very touching. He got emotional, but very hard-hitting and
Figured it would be.
fantastic. Fantastic. If you have a chance, go and watch that after this show. But really, really, really proud of Jimmy. Yeah. Listen, all you Bahamians who like Walmart and overstaying, you've been warned. Trump don't like immigrants.
Who like Walmart and overstaying?
I don't even know if it matters if you stay within the time you're going to be there. I'm not sure. I don't know if we're welcome. This person says here, this means that Prime Minister Davis's dreams about getting carbon credits is dead and a waste of this country's time. It is quite possible. That's what we're all wondering. I don't know if the U.S. is going to be open to it, and China will say, well, if they're not doing it, why are we doing it? And oh, well, back to the drawing board, perhaps. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Prime Minister hasn't spoken about climate change since Trump took office. That's not correct. You're wrong. Please note that I'm not reading that. Okay. Bill Gates. Oh boy, it's not good when they start off with that. Let's start from the beginning of the text. Anyone with common sense knows climate change is a scam. Just like going green, it was all about money. Look what governments who pretend to care about climate change do. So far, our government has cut down almost all the trees right before hurricane season. All non-native invasive trees, Dexter. But anyway, but if you're rather a pedophile that smells not okay, where is that coming from? Who would rather? Where? What is wrong with you people? Huh?
What are you talking about?
I think they're talking about Biden. What? Okay. See, now this is the same thing. Bill Gates thought the solution to climate change would be depopulation. When we affect the Earth 0.04%, look at what these countries are doing. Let's let all the terrorists in to kill all the trees, murder and genocide on docile people, and call yourself great instead. I don't know what's going on. Whatever's affecting that person's brain seeped into mine just now, and I don't think I can do the rest of the show.
Calling climate
I have
change
to
a hoax.
reprogram. I have to unplug and plug myself back in because I don't know what just happened. Wow, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Yeah. Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Just two points about the comments by President Trump. One, the first comment is everyone is entitled to an opinion, no matter how much power and influence an individual has. So he expressed his opinions about what he thought about climate change and global warming and how European countries run their country. That's his opinion. I think we should just take it as that. Secondly, though, I think on the surface of it, you have to appreciate that it may signal the fact that the United States is not going to take any of its resources based on his direction and put it into things like protecting the environment, where they spend billions of dollars right now through all these agreements they have with the United Nations. I think they're just going to pull back their monies and redirect it into either defense and or oil drilling. That's his prerogative. That's what he feels is the best thing to do for his nation. And again, the final point is Trump does not speak out about the world. You know, he's talking about America. So pretty much he's saying if the world burns, that's okay once America's still out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Seems so. Thank you very much. Well, we'll see. I mean, you know, again, they're a very powerful country. They influence a lot of people. If you're talking about climate change, how many companies, especially automobile companies, pledged that they would be all electric by 2030 during the Biden administration. Everybody was moving quickly. Countries were saying, states in the U.S. were even saying that they were going to require all the vehicles to be electric by this time. The people were saying, wait, slow down. But that was what they were saying. We're going full speed ahead, full steam, right? Yeah. New president, everybody slammed the brakes, redeveloping ICE engines and looking at incorporating more hybrids because they don't want to let go of gas. And so this has changed things a lot, and more countries may follow suit. And when we go out there talking about carbon credits, will people say, hey, nobody got time for that? Go stand over there, please. We got gasoline to burn.
It's weird for the people who say climate change is a hoax and all about money to say that, right? Because the argument is fallacious in that on the other end of it, like Trump is talking about, oil and gas is all about money. And there's a small few who make the money off of it. Yeah. They also terribly pollute the world, right? So, I mean, what are you arguing against? And the argument for climate change was that, you know, the production of greenhouse gases by human beings is speeding up what would have naturally occurred across the earth. Right? So, you know, it's not, I don't see why people claim it to be a hoax.
Well,
and then you definitely can call it some kind of money grab. I mean, everything on earth is a money grab.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that's affecting certain people's money.
Right.
And now they are defending it at all costs. This texter says here, unemployment is up, illegal immigration is out of hand. 2 men were murdered yesterday, and you worried about Trump? Stay focused, Dwight. Well, you might not have to worry about any of those things once we're all underwater. Let's take these calls quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning to both of you in the studios.
Hi, good morning.
Alan Johnson. I think we have to take what Donald Trump says concerning a number of things seriously. The emphasis is energy, immigration. I think one of your callers made the argument concerning finance. to deal with finance first is the greatest opportunity that for the Bahamas, considering that we were first mover in the DARE bill, and we have not moved since then. But it's a unique opportunity for us to develop the country and become the standard bearer for fintech in the region, if not in the world, by understanding what is it that Donald Trump has proffered and has been attempted over the last 7 to 8 years. But I won't take time on that today because I hear people talking as though it's something to be afraid of. And the only thing you should fear is the fact that you may not understand what it is. But when Donald Trump talked about energy, for instance, the Bahamas is a net negative contributor. So I know we run around talking about green this and green that also, and need to get off these different things. But consequently, we are like a grain of sand on the beach in regards to our contribution. In fact, the fact that we can argue for the $156 billion shows that we are net cleaners. But Dwight, if you guys remember from the 1940s well into the 80s, we were going to be frozen. You know that? Remember those arguments?
No.
Yeah, well, the Washington Post, Time Magazine, Science Magazine, Ice Age Comet. The same people who then for almost 40 to 50 years said that we will suffer from an ice age is now saying that for the last 3 decades that we will suffer from a global warming. And now they are now saying by science that we are now experiencing the greatest ice growth in decades. And so the fact is that science lives to cool itself. The Earth is not going to go anywhere. At best, the humans are. But if you begin to have the understanding of the global warming, everything that we have, we will actually innovate ourselves out of this. But generally speaking, it's he who has the mic basically makes the noise. And basically Trump has the mic at this particular time. But when we talk about global warming or sea rising, we have the resources that is necessary to protect and expand the human territory. The problem is that we have one group of people who's talking about selling it so we could give humans billions of dollars per year, and another group who says that they understand global warming and running around about carbon credits, and it's ignoring the fact that we have billions of tons of what is necessary to build up. Technology exists for us to basically become responsive rather than reactive. And so the problem is that we are expert on talking about things, but not fully understanding the root of the things, of the actions that we have to take. So we get to say things without the data to support it, from labor to energy to these different things, which Donald Trump is correct. Dwight, for almost a decade, I've said that unless you get the energy matrix fixed in the Bahamas, we will not have the economic growth we need, because every one of the models of economy models we mentioned, green, blue, aquamarine, ocean, all of these things are energy intensive.
Okay.
So if you actually separate what he says about that, you would see that he's absolutely correct, unless we actually focus on growing. Because, we use the expression that we want to go green, but these other nations have had hundreds of years of head start of us, and we are now letting them dictate to us while they're not negating or reducing their consumption. And then when you come to immigration is the absolute truth, because it puts strain on our infrastructure when we don't grow insufficient, or those immigrants don't bring sufficient activity to carry the load that they themselves impose upon us.
All right, thanks a lot, C. Allen. Appreciate it. Illegal migration is a problem for every country, everything. Some of the language, though, right? He's talking about immigration, countries with the more relaxed migration policies, and immigration for, remember what he said? People who have nothing in common with you, and loving Europe. It just suggests some very interesting things. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay, day 2. What is this? Is that a telemarketer? What's going on here? Do we owe them money? What's the deal? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Chester. Good morning, Bahamas.
Hi, good morning.
All right, Dwight. Don't just dismiss me because, you share opposing views. Just let me hear them out. and you look at this thing called climate change, all this rain. Let's look at the Bahamas, for example. What steps, positive steps you think we have taken over the years to suggest that we are serious about climate change? Look at how we dispose solid waste. Just that alone. Are we serious about what we are preaching all over the world? People, actually, if those leaders decide now that, you know what, let's meet in these various countries who are promoting this climate change, and let's see what steps they have taken. They'll be horrified to look at the Bahamas, and you know it. Now, in respect to illegal migration, Trump is spot on. You're bringing in people into the country unabated. You relax your immigration laws, like the Bahamas, in respect to visas and how we give out these things like candy, bringing in people who definitely don't have anything in common with a lot of us when you look at how they live. You think, look at these shanty towns. You see the government is any haste to remove them and any rush to remove them. If they're serious about climate change, look at the health impact, all of these other things. So it has to be a hoax. Just like the COVID situation, when you see politicians was breaking their own COVID rules. I knew if they're one of the scariest people on the planet when it comes to die. They don't want to die, but they were breaking it and doing it, and look how they were treating Coconut Boy. So I knew something was amiss about that COVID situation. It wasn't as serious as they was making it out to be, because they would have been 50 feet underground. We know that. So, yes, their language may have been harsh. He talked to them like little children, but some of them need to be talked to like little children the way they treat their own people. And I hope that Trump takes this immigration thing a step further in terms of withholding aid from countries like the Bahamas, who have brought this thing in to the detriment of their own people. Look at how they treat
what thing in?
The hospital, Dwight.
Brought what
Look
thing
at
in?
the classroom space. Be in trouble. But the Prime Minister said that we are not in an immigration crisis. We've got to address this issue, this unmitigated, this influx, unregulated, unmanned thing called illegal or migration or immigration in general. And I hope the U.S. Embassy hear me. That's what I have to say.
Okay, withhold aid. Wow. Okay. We'll take a couple more calls on this, and then we'll get to unemployment. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Hi, good morning. You're on live.
Good morning, Chester.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I love you guys, right? But I'm kind of disappointed in the intellectuals and the for the state, right? Because, firstly, there's an article in the newspaper that's kind of obscured because it's on some back page somewhere in the Guardian or the Tribune, right? And it says U.S. official claims Bahamas has relaxed its immigration enforcement. And it's a top U.S. official from the St. Lucie County area in which they caught the Bahamians with the 30 Chinese the other day, and there was two minors, two children on the boat, right? And so the government, national security, the PM, nobody has issued a statement in regards to this, in the fact that two children was on this boat. And so the numbers of Chinese is very, very significant. And the newspaper goes on to show, but I don't want to give anybody an idea how to avoid being locked up, but they have to realize that once they go around a building and nobody sees them, they was investigating them for a while. So the fact that you don't hear any responses, and there's a proliferation of Chinese also, right? There's a proliferation of Chinese coming in, and so they're coming in underground. And so how can this not be a national security concern, but at the same time you're talking about crime? It's no different from climate change. So we know that they can pass a simple Shantytown Act, and they just try to do some impediments here. And the fact that Cleaver was mentioned this belongers permit, and the fact that you could have somebody with both parents being Haitian, and then they're still able to apply for citizenship instead of getting belongers permit or residency, that is a part of the problem given the numerology. Now, that one over. What I want to touch on was what C. Allen was talking about, and the lack of clairvoyancy and knowledge about the climate change situation. And Dwight, I really appreciate if you guys would really get a debate going on the arena where human people can be enlightened to the real science, because it hurts my heart, Dwight. When I've been down all the rabbit holes, all the labyrinth, and I know that the climate change is occurring. But hello, Dwight. Let me finish, please, Dwight.
We're listening to you.
Climate change is occurring, but it's not because of carbon. It's planetary shift, it's orbital deviances, etc. What I'm saying is the climate will change. Mankind cannot save himself, much less save the planet. He cannot save the planet. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So you cannot manage what you cannot measure. You cannot manage the amount of carbon in the air. It's all a BS. When you look at the parts per million required for plants to flourish naturally in a greenhouse environment, you would see any 400 ppm is a joke. You would see certain plants thrive at 800 to 300 parts per million. So what I'm saying is, even so we look at the measures that they're doing, they're flying all around talking about climate change. We have people cutting down trees with big, thick cambiums and biomass. It's counterproductive. You have environmental infractions by the shanty towns, et cetera, et cetera. Dwight, it's so sickening for me. It's really, Dwight, you understand carbon science? Carbon is involved in every combustion, Dwight. So there's no way. And then even the green economy that they're saying the third world leaders are green because they're buying into it. When you go and harness all of the things that they needed to make these electric vehicles, et cetera, it's still environmental degradation and exploitation. So I really would like to air out the real science and show the folly in this agenda. The government is talking about debt for nature swap to preserve large tracts of land, which to enrich people them so they can collect carbon credits through the voluntary carbon trading market. Dwight, I've been reading, it doesn't make any sense reading. I can stop reading today for 10 years, and some people still wouldn't catch up with me. You know why? Because we love to talk as behemoths. I beg you, just to everybody, let's have a real intellectual. I didn't want to talk about the COVID science. Please, Mr. Strachan. Please, man. Because I'm going to die, and the lie will turn into the truth. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. No one can measure the amount of carbon dioxide in the air using simple infrared spatial technology. I don't want to sound intelligent, Dwight. I have this knowledge to teach people about this BS. It's really all a farce. It's a farce, Dwight. And then see, Alan highlighted the fact that rich people are allowed to fly around the world in their jets and whatever, and for you to glorify them, and pay you to offset carbon.
Thank you very much.
There ends the reading.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot to process. Oh boy. Okay, so let's talk about the joblessness rate. It's gone up to 10.8%. For more on this, the very latest, take a listen to this report from our Charlene Ferguson.
The unemployment rate at the end of January stood at 10.8%, according to the latest labor force survey completed by the Bahamas National Statistical Institute September 17th. That's up dramatically from the 7.2% unemployment rate recorded at the end of the third quarter of 2024 and higher than the 9% recorded at the end of the fourth quarter of that year. That latest survey found that in January, 25,925 persons in this country were unemployed. Unemployment among females stood at 11.2%, 10.4% among males. The youth unemployment rate was 20.9%. 6,960 unemployed persons were between the ages of 15 and 24, and that was almost evenly distributed by sex. That report also noted that 65,225 persons were designated as underemployed, meaning they worked part-time while wanting additional hours. Well, head of the Labor Division at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Peter Gowdy, says updated labor statistics is exactly the type of data they need from the Bahamas National Statistical Institute to make an informed decision on a minimum wage increase. He says they also need up-to-date cost of living and wage surveys so the National Tripartite Council, of which Gowdy is a member, can determine what is an appropriate minimum wage for workers and their employers. Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson wants to see the minimum wage increase from $260 to $350 a week. Labor Minister Pierre Glover-Roll says government wants to responsibly pursue another minimum wage increase so as not to hurt the economy or jeopardize jobs. For the Guardian News Network, I'm Charlene Ferguson.
Okay, let's get into this. So those who was text me is the wine tasting show today. Like, we need Bristol, if you're listening, can you come back? I need you today. Okay, let's get into this. As a caller mentioned, what's accounting for this? As we told him, it's the first quarter of the year, right? And the previous one measured the last quarter of 2024.
Right.
Right. And we see that around the holidays. There's a spike in jobs. I guess some of it not long term, but people are working and they've got things happening. But in January, it's a different story. January, February, March. Is that what's happening here? This is before Celebration Key opened, before Royal Caribbean started their hiring spree, and they're doing their job searches now. Will things look different later in the year?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Well, so Shadow Minister of Finance Kwesi Thompson is saying that this is evidence that the country has been put in reverse. Thompson said the data shows that the Bahamian economy has lost 5,571 jobs, calling it devastating news. He said the Bahamian economy has been put into reverse. According to the BNSI report, the unemployment rate grew by some 50% in less than a year, shifting from 7.2% up to 10.8%. Tourism, the country's primary economic engine, is flat and trending in the wrong direction. Virtually all of the major private sector initiatives that have come online during the PLP's watch have been those inherited from the former F&M government. Well, what the PLP has given the country instead is high inflation, high taxes, high electricity bills, a stalling economy, endless scandals. Okay. Multi-million-dollar no-bid contracts to the few, and now, according to the BNSI, 5,500 lost jobs. Their own announced projects have been stuck with unending delays, missteps, and scandals. The PLP is out of excuses, and soon the Bahamian people will show them that they are out of time. Well, okay. The thing that stands out, again, the youth unemployment rate, over 20%. Again, what is that about? What's accounting for that? It's usually a little bit higher than the average population,
typically.
but that 1 out of 5 or so. That's a lot.
What are they doing?
What are they doing? Indeed, indeed. Let's take these calls quickly, please. Let's stick to this, and let's. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
This is Ron, Mr. Robert. I know you already switched into unemployment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But plenty people ain't working because they can't live with the wages they're making. Minimum wage is not minimum. That's poverty wage. So they going on the streets and hustling and doing what they got to do. But what I really call about is about the green economy. They trying to make all cars electric, right? If you make all cars electric, how you gonna charge them? You still need fuel to charge them cars. You gotta pull up to a charging station. Them charging stations run on gas and diesel.
Or solar. There are all kinds of things that could run off.
Yeah, but most of them, 99.9% of them, is run on fuel.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was about cutting back, not
generated to charge your car.
Mm-hmm.
How you can drive?
It's about cutting back, not about eliminating. Cutting back to
but you still need fuel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's often a cry.
We're also switching to cleaner fuel.
You know, the green economy might be a good thing in some people's view, right? But you get electric car, you still got to go to a gas station running on BBL or running on whatever else or generator to charge these cars. So where you get in a car if you don't got no power?
Yeah, well, again, it often isn't very frequently, and so the amount that you're using is a drop in the bucket compared to you fueling up, and that's the argument that they'll make there.
Right.
Unless you are driving all over the place all the time. Right. And yeah, but again, it is about scaling back.
Mm-hmm.
Conserving, not eliminating. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to leave that there. We're running out of time, and we've got to take a break for the news. We've got a whole lot more to talk about this Wednesday morning. Very glad for the break. This is Morning Blend on a very interesting Wednesday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 90.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas, Channel 969, and BTC Flow, Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. And now, day 23, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Ready to refresh your space? Well, head to your local Sherwin-Williams for premium paint, pro tips, and everyday deals that make it easy to get started. And in your weather for today, we are expecting severe weather today. There's a risk of isolated strong to severe thunderstorms across portions of the northern and northwest Bahamas. These storms have the potential to produce strong, gusty winds, heavy downpours, frequent lightning, and possible waterspout or tornadic activity today. Lingering troughing combined with streaming tropical moisture will continue to elevate the chance of shower and thunderstorm activity across the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas, most of the country, through tonight. But expect temporary relief, just very temporary, drier conditions across the archipelago tomorrow, Thursday, as troughing dissipates across the area, but it will be short-lived. By late Thursday night or Friday morning, the northern portion of a tropical wave that we're watching is expected to move west-northwest over the southeast Bahamas, and that's going to produce moderate to heavy rainfall, fresh breezes, and moderate sea swells. This wave could strengthen into a low-pressure system by late Friday or Saturday, and we are closely monitoring this system. Regardless of whether it fully develops, the disturbance has the potential to produce unsettled weather across most of the country this weekend as it tracks northward. And everyone's being advised to monitor this system and pay attention to all alerts from the Department of Meteorology. So again, the flooding risk, there is a risk of flooding during heavy or prolonged rainfall events, especially in areas that are already inundated with water. And there is a moderate to high risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed shorelines in the northern and northwest Bahamas as a result of Hurricane Gabrielle all the way out in the central to eastern Atlantic now. And beachgoers and swimmers should still exercise caution while visiting those beaches. And there's a moderate risk, a slight risk of rip currents elsewhere as well. So for today, your forecast for the extreme northern Bahamas, variably cloudy to occasionally overcast, becoming fair at night with a 30 to 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, decreasing to about 20% chance by tonight. For the rest of the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy, becoming variably cloudy at night, a 20 to 30% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Variably cloudy for the central islands, 20% chance of showers with isolated thunderstorms. And mostly to partly sunny, becoming partly cloudy at night for the southeast Bahamas with about a 10% chance of showers and thunderstorms, but rain chances increasing to about 30% by tonight. Temperatures for today, we're looking at highs around 90, 91 Fahrenheit, 32, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make it feel like it's near 104 Fahrenheit for the northern and northwest Bahamas and 108 Fahrenheit for the central and southeast Bahamas. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 81 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. In your extended outlook for tomorrow, Thursday, mostly to partly sunny for most areas and only about a 10 to 20% chance of showers or thunderstorms. As we say, we've got that temporary drying. But again, it will be short-lived by Friday. Changes again, variably cloudy for the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy for the rest of the country. a 30 to 50% chance of showers or thunderstorms for the central and southeast Bahamas, about a 20% chance for the rest of the country. By Saturday, variably cloudy for the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy for the central and southeastern islands. Again, rain chances around 30 to 50%. And by Sunday, partly cloudy to cloudy for all areas. Rain chances up to about 40%. And that's going to hold into Monday and Tuesday. In the tropics, there's Hurricane Gabrielle over the central subtropical Atlantic, going to be an issue for the Azores. And then we've got two systems in the tropics that we're watching. We've got in the central and western tropical Atlantic, Invest 93, showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave about 700 miles east of the Leeward Islands, continues to show signs of organization. Formation chance through 7 days is high at 90%. And the system we are watching closely here, a tropical wave over the northeastern Caribbean Sea, continuing to produce large areas of disorganized showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds over much of the Windward and Leeward Islands right now. Formation chance through 7 days is high at about 80%. We'll keep you posted on all of this, but that is your Morning Blend weather check. Also brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Fresh from the factory, fully electric and built for the future. Discover the new collection of 2026 EV models at easy242.com. All electric, all the time since 2016. And time for another check of your traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. With RBC, your ideas happen here. In your real-time traffic, a number of hotspots to tell you about. As usual, we've got Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic for you from Fire Trail straight up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway. That's going to extend into north, the New Providence Highway, all the way up to Sports Center Road and the roundabout there. So that's all northbound. And along Tawny Williams Darling Highway, heavy traffic, multiple spots. We've got that west and eastbound between Blue Hill Road and the roundabout with Bahamas Games Boulevard. And you're going to be seeing some slow-moving traffic eastbound to Bahamas Games Boulevard and westbound to Milo Butler Highway. Blue Hill Road, also slow-moving traffic for you this morning, especially near Carmichael and north and south of the Soldier Road Junction. Then there's East Street, northbound, heavy traffic for you there. Slow-moving traffic along Independence Drive, west of that roundabout. Pockets along Soldier Road, especially near Windsor Place and Old Trail Road and Prince Charles Drive at the major intersections. Also going to be seeing some issues on New Providence Highway if you're heading northbound, some slow-moving traffic there, and eastbound on West Bay Street near Saunders Beach as you approach that roundabout. Those are your hot spots. It's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert. Also brought to you by NUA Insurance, agents and brokers. Get a quote however it suits you. Stop by your nearest branch or get an instant motor quote online at nuainsurance.com. Quick questions or big decisions, they've got you covered. We'll take a break and be back with more. We're talking about prostate cancer awareness when we return here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
No one likes a fender bender.
Oh, man.
From a little scratch to a full mashup, NUA Insurance has got you covered with auto insurance tailored to fit your needs and budget. For affordable rates with free on-site accident assistance, visit us online or in branch and just ask us. NUA Insurance. Ask us because we've got you covered.
Cozy up to Autumn Delights.
with Nassau Tile during our fantastic fall sale, September 22nd to 29th. Harvest the best deals on this season's latest designs with 20% off store-wide. Buy big and save big on all tile, thin set grout, mosaics, trims, and more. Don't delay. Prices are falling and autumn deals are calling at Nassau Tile. Call 322-2100 or visit our showroom on Dodswell Street to make your fantastic fall dream space a reality.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
Are you searching for something new? Something exciting? Your dream job in paradise? Well, look no further. Royal Beach Club Paradise Island is hiring. Join a dynamic group of passionate hospitality professionals, craft unforgettable moments, and thrive in a vibrant, welcoming atmosphere. Play your part in shaping the future of our team while growing your own career every day. Bring your energy, your passion, and your creativity to a workplace that's as dynamic and fun as you are. At Royal Beach Club Paradise Island, the opportunities don't just exist. They're limitless. So are you ready to find your perfect fit? Visit Royal Beach Club at paradiseisland.com/career today and step into a world of exciting possibilities.
Spend and stay this summer with CIBC Caribbean. Experience summer like never before when you spend with your CIBC Caribbean Visa credit card. The lucky winner will receive the gift of relaxation and summer fun with a $3,000 travel voucher, a $1,000 cash prize, or a $500 spa gift certificate. Each time you spend $150 or more, you'll automatically be entered for your chance to win. Spend today with your CIBC Caribbean Visa credit card. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCCaribbean.com/summer spend and save. Promotion ends September 30th, 2025.
Summer lasts forever at BWF. Beat the heat with unbelievable prices. Up to 50% off tent sales Saturday, September 27th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Deals, deals, and more deals. Red hot prices and cool buys. Brighten this season with huge savings. Up to 50% off tent sales Saturday, September 27th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Savings includes fans, coolers, grills and griddles, kitchen and outdoor cooking supplies, lawn and garden supplies, household supplies, and much more. Shop now and save with BWF new store hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. BWF, we are more than just our name. Number 13 Wilton Street. Check us out on Facebook and like our page to keep up to date with more exciting bargains. BWF, we ship to the Family Islands. Telephone 394-0004 or 6.
In uncertain times, resilience is everything. That's why CFAL is inviting you to the financial services event of the year, the 2025 CFAL Pension and Economic Conference. It all happens Thursday, October 16th at 8 a.m. at the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar Convention Center. Under the theme Resilience in the Face of Global Uncertainty, this half-day conference is your chance to gain powerful insights on navigating today's shifting global economy. This is the premier networking and knowledge-sharing event of the year, and you cannot afford to miss it. So secure your spot today at www.cfal.com.
Sherwin-Williams Bahamas doesn't mess about when it comes to product range and product knowledge.
If it's a new product come in the store, we walk the store and study that product.
One thing with our boss, if a new product comes in, he takes the time and he's always keeping us up to date with product knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had 9 weeks of different products that we had to study, and we had exams at the end of each product.
Yeah.
The only way we can sell the product effective, we have to know that product. Yeah, that helps us to relate to our customers. It gives us better knowledge to know what product to introduce to them. You understand? So we can know what product to give them to use and what product not to give them to use.
Mm-hmm.
So product knowledge is really key in Sherwin-Williams.
They got the keys. And the key is the product knowledge that comes with our extensive product range at Sherwin-Williams Paints Bahamas. Find colour in every day.
Way out west, there lives this dame. She'll put any dancer, oh, to shame. If you want to watch her dance, want to watch her prance, get her in a circle, watch that lady dance. She got a West End move. She got a West End groove. She got a West End move. She got a West End groove.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And we're changing gears, talking about your health, talking about prostate cancer, as it is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. We are very pleased to have back with us urologist and host of the very popular talk show on Guardian Radio on Wednesday nights right here. The Urologist Speaks, Dr. Gregory Pinto. Good morning, sir. Radio superstar.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just trying to follow your lead, Dwight and Chester, and be a shepherd of the Lord.
Wow. Well, great stuff. The show's definitely taking off. But let's talk about it. You've been on with us for years now, talking about prostate cancer. Are you seeing changes? Are you seeing a mindset shift finally in the men in our country?
Yeah, we always talk about gloom and doom on the radio and in social media, but there have been a lot of changes, not just locally, but internationally, in terms of vast improvements in the way that we can screen for prostate cancer, or diagnose it, and actually treat not just locally localized prostate cancer, but metastatic prostate cancer. So the most important thing I want to get out of the way, and that's the elephant in the room. Every time a man hears about prostate cancer awareness or prostate cancer awareness month in September, they cringe because they're thinking of the digital rectal exam. Right. So categorically, it's not my opinion. Any specialty or in the medical fraternity as a whole, we are always ruled by governing bodies. They come to consensus after years of randomized control studies, data analysis, etc. And we look at every governing body from the American Urology Association, AUA, to the Canadian Urological Association, to, I'll talk about the British Association of Urology. Surgeons just a few years ago aligned itself with Prostate Cancer United Kingdom. And there's actually a slogan, a marketing campaign in terms of prostate cancer screening that's basically is declaring to men, you do not need, and I'll quote, a finger up the bum to test for prostate cancer. Wow. So when we talk about the American Urology Association guidelines set out that all urologists need to follow, says that for first-line prostate cancer screening, they only recommend the PSA blood test. They do not recommend the digital rectal exam as a primary screening tool. The same is throughout Europe, the same is in Japan, same is throughout everywhere in the world. So digital rectal exam is something of the past. It's a relic. First of all, and just in layman's terms, you're not feeling the entire prostate. In fact, maybe only about 20% of the prostate that would have signs of early prostate cancer you might find in the digital rectal exam. The other thing that you must understand is that when we're trying to pick up prostate cancer, we're trying to pick it up when it's clinically insignificant, when the digital rectal exam feels completely normal. So when you're going to wait until you might feel something that's very subjective in terms of doing the digital rectal exam, we're waiting until it's too late. We have so many things and tools in our armament to pick up prostate cancer where there's now a treatment modality, quote unquote, where we can actively surveil patients for sometimes 8, 10, 12 years before we need to treat them, because we picked up prostate cancer so early, where it's indolent, benign disease. If we don't do anything, it's of no consequence to the patient. So there are vast improvements in terms of we're looking at liquid biopsies, where this is not science fiction. This is something where we can be a prophet. We can determine that in 3, 4, 5 years from now, you are likely to get prostate cancer by just a non-invasive test, whether it's a urine test or it's a blood test. We look at for circulating DNA tumor cells or DNA fragments from circulating cancer before the prostate cancer becomes readily apparent, or that we can pick it up from either the numerous blood tests that we use or in terms of imaging itself. So,
so at the time, you would not have...
You would have no symptoms.
You have no cancer.
We would do imaging. We wouldn't pick it up, but we can tell you in advance that you're going to get it.
That you're going to get it.
Even in terms of there's polygenetic testing where there are genetic markers and mutations that either can reduce your chance of getting prostate cancer or increase your risk of getting prostate cancer. And we can do these testing, and I've been doing it for like 2 years, for maybe a 35-year-old, a 37-year-old, and that can tell you and stratify you as to your risk, lifetime risk of getting prostate cancer. So
what do you do in a situation like that where it
just
says
a blood test?
In 5 years you may get it. What do you do?
Even further in advance, we can say that, all right, your chance of getting prostate cancer by the time you're 65 or 70 is 70% versus someone that's 5%. So you're going to be a lot more diligent in following these certain patients. And then we also have to talk about you're not genetically predisposition to inevitably get prostate cancer. So even if we stratify you in a higher risk group, there are things that you can do. So when we talk about what is our lifetime risk of getting prostate cancer, there are genetic mutations and there are somatic mutations. Somatic mutations are mutations within the prostate cells themselves. Genetic mutations are inherited from our parents. Then we'd always talk about BRCA gene, breast cancer gene, and that's in here. All of us have breast cancer gene, type 1 and type 2. And what a lot of laypersons in the public don't understand, it's not the gene itself. Everybody has a gene. The gene is actually a good thing. It's a suppressor gene. So when we
everyone, men and women,
all men, boys, girls, as soon as we're born, babies have the gene.
Okay.
But it suppresses us getting numerous cancers. It's not just for breast cancer. And men can also get breast cancer. So maybe 3% of all breast cancer is actually for men. So men need to examine their breasts if they have a lump. I've seen too many men die needlessly of breast cancer. And if a man has breast cancer, then likely he has a genetic predisposition. And even the women in that family have to be probably tested for the gene, the BRCA gene 1 or 2. So somatic mutations are environmental factors that can determine whether those changes are going to happen. So the things that we can do to significantly reduce our chance of getting prostate cancer, such as it's just common sense. The healthier you are, the healthier you live, the less chance you're going to get prostate cancer. And even if you did get prostate cancer, it's less likely for you to get an aggressive form of prostate cancer if you follow certain guidelines. And they're common sense. The Western diet is horrible for prostate cancer. So we need to have more of a vegan, plant-based diet. We need to get rid of the processed foods, the charred meats, the red meat. So we need to have more white meat. We need to have more fishes. We need to increase our fiber intake, and we need to reduce our fat and saturated food intake. So many of the environmental factors we have at our own control. And then in terms of diet, I actually wrote an article. I read an article again in the National Guardian every single week on Tuesday in the health section. I wrote yesterday, how does diet influence our risk of prostate cancer? And I wrote an extensive article. There are things that we can do in terms of what we eat. Alcohol. We consume too much alcohol as a nation, particularly men in this country. We use it as a crutch. That's a longer story in itself.
It's a whole other show.
That's a whole other show. But that may not increase your risk of getting prostate cancer, but increase your risk of getting a more aggressive form of prostate cancer. Obesity. If any cancer you get, if you're obese, if you're a woman or a male, if you have ovarian cancer as a woman, breast cancer as a woman, your chance of survival is less if you're obese. Your chance of recurrence is higher if you're obese. The same thing for prostate cancer. Obesity can increase your risk of a more aggressive form of prostate cancer as well. So if we can eat better, get away with the sedentary lifestyle, exercise 3 times a week, make sure we have a normal body mass index, no cigarette smoking, no cigar smoking, we can significantly reduce our chance of getting prostate cancer. Over 100 men are dying of prostate cancer every year in this country.
Wow.
No one should be dying of prostate cancer, and it's not a pleasant death.
Over 100.
Oh, and there are many drugs that we can give a patient with metastatic or advanced disease, but the side effects are horrible. We don't want you to have to reach that point. We can give you 5 years, we can give you 8 years. Many of these drugs are very expensive, but the real expense is a toll on the individual. You can't just look in terms of statistics as in terms of death as a marker of the success in terms of prostate cancer screening or treatment, because we can have many men living like they're dying. In terms of metastatic disease, the first thing we need to do is what we call androgen deprivation. Medically, we'll castrate the patient.
Wow.
You make your testosterone as low as possible to essentially starve the prostate cancer. What is the consequence of that? You're going to be a shell of your former self. You're going to put on weight. You're going to have weakening in the bones. You're going to be at risk of fractures. You're going to have hot flashes. You're going to have engorged, tender breasts. Your erections are gone. And that's the most important thing for most Bahamian men. That should be a motivator to get prostate cancer screening just with a blood test every single year, starting with a PSA blood test.
Right. Wow. Okay. You said a lot there. I want to go back to a couple things you mentioned, though. So with the diet, you said no smoking, and that includes vaping.
Vaping can be even more dangerous than filtered cigarettes. Yeah, so there's a lot of marketing as a big business. Vaping is extremely dangerous. There are many carcinogens, and just in terms of your cardiovascular health, you're going to increase your risk of a heart attack or a stroke. And then
no matter how sweet smelling it is.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So, and then you talk about secondhand smoke. All the carcinogens, all the smoke, everything permeates into your skin, into your clothes, into your hair follicles, and then you go pick up your baby. Then you go and lay in the bed with your wife. Stop being selfish. This is going to cause your demise in one way or the other. It's going to shorten your lifespan. And it can cause grievous harm to not just you, but all those around you.
Wow.
So please do not smoke. There's no positivity of smoking. Alcohol, in terms of modifiable risk factors, so there are things that we can do, as I said, to reduce our chance of prostate cancer. Even in terms of breast cancer, the beginning of this year, the U.S. Surgeon General wanted to put a warning on all alcoholic beverages that will signify that at least 6 different cancers are strongly linked to alcohol in terms of increasing their risk.
Wow.
Breast cancer alone, they found that 15% of breast cancers in the United States were linked to alcohol alone.
Wow.
So imagine if we hardly drink, and I'm not talking about binge drinking or drinking excessively.
Right.
I'm talking even a drink a day or every other day can significantly increase your risk of getting numerous cancers, and that includes breast cancer for women, and to a less extent men, and of course prostate cancer.
I wanted to ask, how long has the digital rectal exam been something that we didn't need?
I would say that data was suggesting that probably from around at least 10, 12 years.
As long as you've been coming on this show, you've been kind of telling people it wasn't necessary.
So now, you're not just looking at the PSA blood test, which is not a very sensitive, specific test. It's an easy test to get. You don't have to ask for it. It's routinely given to every man at the age of 40 and every year after that. We want to get a baseline marker so we can compare 1 year for the next. So we can say, all right, your PSA is still normal, but there's a great increase from 1 year to the next. The PSA velocity is very high. That might indicate, and it does in many cases, that we need to do more specific tests to determine whether there's a likelihood of prostate cancer. So years ago, and before the early 1990s, there was no PSA. Anyone, most patients were coming in 50, 60% with metastatic disease.
Wow.
The other important thing to understand is prostate cancer, when it's early, has little to no symptoms. So if we're waiting for symptoms, we're going to wait till it's too late. So there are other blood tests. There's a PHI score, which is a prostate health index score. They'll tell the likelihood, if we do a biopsy, there's likely to find prostate cancer. There's a 4K score to determine the likelihood if you're going to have a form of aggressive prostate cancer or not. So there's so many numerous blood tests. There are numerous urine tests that you can do that we can determine whether someone's likely to get aggressive prostate cancer in 6, 8, 10 years.
Yeah.
So we can determine with so many tests, and in fact we even use artificial intelligence. So with artificial intelligence, that enhances our ability in terms of screening, in terms of imaging, in terms of a pathologist using artificial intelligence to have a more accurate biopsy. Artificial intelligence is used in terms of a treatment algorithm for specific types of prostate cancer, because everybody's prostate cancer is different. Essentially, most prostate cancers are indolent disease. So only 15 to 20% of prostate cancers are actually aggressive. The other ones, if you don't do anything, probably is not going to do anything to you for 10, 12, 15 years. In fact, one of the things that we look at whether we're going to treat someone for prostate cancer, are you likely to live 10 years or more?
Right.
That's why everyone, if you live in your 80s, is going to get prostate cancer. But
prostate cancer?
Yep. But maybe only 3-5% will die of the disease.
Wow.
The 95-97% are going to die with the disease. So that's why we don't even look for prostate cancer in 80-year-olds, because we're going to find it. And what are we going to do? Unless you're going to live to 95, it's really of no consequence. So even here, we'll extend doing PSAs into 75. United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, they stopped doing PSAs at 70.
My goodness.
They have a lower risk profile because of their demographics. The number one risk factor for prostate cancer is advancing age. It's a disease of older men. So the average age here, you might get prostate cancer might be 60, 62. In Caucasian populations, it's usually 67, 68. So we have an early form of the disease and a more aggressive form of the disease. But the next greatest risk factor for prostate cancer is unfortunately being of African ancestry. African American men, 1 in 6 are going to get prostate cancer in their lifetime. And in the Bahamas, it's about 1 in 6. In the United Kingdom, for African and men of Caribbean ancestry, it's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 are going to get prostate cancer in their lifetime, but nobody has to die of prostate cancer. There's so many.
Do we know why that is?
A lot of it is genetics. A lot of it has to do with the way that we metabolize calcium. We're very sensitive to dairy milk, so I'll always tell people, for many reasons, avoid dairy milk. There are other ways that we can get a calcium, get non-dairy, because prostate cancer is very hormonal sensitive, and there are hormones like estrogens, there's IGF, factor 1, they basically can stimulate prostate cancer formation. So there are studies that have shown that the threshold for dairy milk intake, and that includes products, so that might be in your pizza with the mozzarella cheese, that might be in the yogurts, that might be in your cookies,
the ice cream,
in the ice cream, 1 3/4 cups per day. You don't want to. So essentially, if you're worried about prostate cancer, if a lot of people in your family have prostate cancer, avoid all dairy milk. Have very little in the way of processed foods and red meat. Avoid charred meat. You shouldn't be having bacon every single day for breakfast for many reasons, but particularly for prostate cancer.
I wanted to ask you with the charred meat.
Yes.
What's the deal with that? So this is like barbecue and jerk, I guess. Be very careful.
Yes. They're
eliminated, or should you have it very occasionally?
You got to live your life, everything in moderation. So occasionally, but you don't want it to be the mainstay of your diet.
Right.
And I've said this before, and this is I'm going to try to be positive. If you can essentially, quote unquote, clear the tubes, you can reduce your chance of getting prostate cancer by as much as 30%. And that's in terms of 21 ejaculations or more a month.
Wow.
And often when I go and write a newspaper article at Christmas, I'll say, this is a Christmas present to all men. You can give to your wife, your girlfriend, your spouse. 21 ejaculation a month can reduce your chance of getting prostate cancer significantly. And these are long-term studies that have looked at it. A Harvard study that's well recognized looked at patients over almost 18 to 20 years, 27,000 men. They looked at men and their frequency of ejaculation. And this is what we do in our youth. We pay for it in our older years. We're talking about ejaculations in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, can influence whether you're going to get prostate cancer in your 50s and your 60s. So if we can clear the tubes and all the negative byproducts and the carcinogens that can collect in our our prostate, we can reduce our chance of getting prostate cancer. And there was a study in Australia that actually replicated that as well. So it's science-based.
Print out the study and put it on your wife's pillow.
I will do that.
Right. Okay, so we got a lot of calls coming in. This person's asking you, so the DRE, again, doesn't even matter in our population where you see it more frequently. This is across the board. The recommendation is that it's not really.
So it's not my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This is guideline based, and we're talking first line screening. When we talk about second line screening or persons who are on active surveillance, yes, it has a role. I'm not saying it's absolutely obsolete, but in medicine we always say let's not do any harm. Let's look at the connotations of men when they hear prostate cancer. The vast majority of them, they're going to cringe because they had that homophobic connotation. They had that dreaded, embarrassing episode that they may have had when they were 42 years old, where they had the digital rectal exam, which served no purpose whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And it's going to cause them to never get prostate cancer screening again. When we have so many, in terms of genetic testing, in terms of liquid biopsies, in terms of specific blood tests, in terms of MRI imaging, nobody gets a biopsy now in prostate cancer unless you get MRI imaging to determine whether it's necessary, and then do actually targeted biopsies. So because of all these advances, including artificial intelligence, stratifying patients, etc., digital rectal has little to no role. There's a very well-received study. It's called the PLOC. It's a prostate, lung, colorectal, and ovarian screening trial that looked at 5,064 men with an abnormal digital rectal exam and a normal PSA. And only 2% were diagnosed with prostate cancer that would require treatment. So it's minuscule in terms of its value in terms of picking up prostate cancer. So if you have a normal PSA, maybe 15 to 20% of persons with a normal PSA actually have prostate cancer.
Wow.
But when you look at which one of them are clinically significant, very few of them, and then we do more specific tests. So that's why you don't just look at a PSA value in isolation. You look at what was your value last year, what was your value this year. PSA is also, in terms of the normal range, age specific. So if you're 40 to 45, you want to have a PSA of less than 1. Mm-hmm. If you're 65, you want to have a PSA less than 2. Quote unquote, the normal is 4. But there's so many things that can cause PSA to be elevated. That can be inflammation of the prostate, infection of the prostate, a very big but normal prostate, incomplete bladder emptying, etc. If someone goes in the emergency room and can't pee for the last 24 hours, and we have to put a catheter in because of an obstructing prostate, put them in retention, their PSA could be 30. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with prostate cancer in the vast majority of cases. And then within a month where you get a new value of PSA, it'll go back to normal. Right. So that's why we do more specific tests. We do a PSA density, as I say, 4K score, we do a PHI score, and we do imaging ultimately. And that can tell us with almost certainty whether there's a lesion of any consequence, and if there's a biopsy necessary, we can do the biopsies. In many cases, MRI can pick up prostate cancer 5 years before it's of any clinical significance.
Amazing.
So right now, I have 87 men, and I counted that. I have a study on my own, in this country on active surveillance for prostate cancer. I picked it up so early. It's of no consequence. So I watch them very carefully. We'll do a PSA every 3 months. We'll do a MRI every year. And if there's any concern, we then put them in a treatment group, and they have excellent cure rate. But you don't have to put men through treatment if it's not necessary.
Right. Wow.
And you don't even need surgery to cure prostate cancer. I've said that many times as well. There's so many very effective ways of curing prostate cancer. Even if you opt for surgery, it could be done minimally invasive, little keyhole incisions. You can be up and about in 2 hours walking around after surgery. You can be home the next day. You can be offered radiation. There's so many forms of radiation that are available for prostate cancer. There's internal radiation, brachytherapy, which has been my lifelong goal since I've had this career as a urologist, to have this readily available in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Finally, everything is done. We have the agreement with the nuclear scientists, the radiation oncologists. The equipment is bought. Hopefully, before the end of the year, we're going to roll that out. And that's going to change the whole dynamic of prostate cancer treatment in this country. And this is not some new science. This has been around 30, 35 years.
Right.
And it's available in Jamaica. It's available in Trinidad. It's available in Barbados. But now, finally, I'm going to available.
Amazing.
And it's a 40-minute outpatient procedure, completely minimally invasive. No cutting, no stitches, no recovery, no pain afterwards. We use a 3D reconstruction of your prostate, determining where the prostate cancer cells and tissue is present. And we actually place low-dose radiation seeds. So on my fingertip, I can put like 4 of those little seeds, and they disperse radiation only a few millimeters in every direction, killing only the prostate cancer cells, leaving the rest of the gland intact.
Wow.
You can maintain your erections at a 90-something% rate. The risk of urinary leakage or incontinence that you can have with surgery or other treatment modalities is basically zero. So you can tell a man, you can come in on a Saturday, have this minimally invasive procedure done in 40 minutes. You can be at church on a Sunday, and you can be at work on a Monday, and your prostate cancer is in your rearview mirror, and you have an excellent cure rate. And studies have shown that brachytherapy, for the right patients, is not for everyone. So you have to make sure that you have certain parameters that make you a candidate for so it's for low risk prostate cancer, low volume disease, or lower risk intermediate disease. You can cure prostate cancer like nothing happened. It's almost like going to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned.
Wow.
Where are we really falling down on this? Because if you go to your doctor regularly for checkups annually, I guess, they're doing your PSA after a certain age. But some men are falling through the cracks. Are they just not taking care?
A lot of it is fair. We look at why do we have so much in the way of non-communicable diseases? Why are so many persons, because of hypertension or diabetes, ending up on renal dialysis, praying for a kidney transplant they're unlikely to get? And why is that? Because men notoriously don't do anything until it's the last worst thing happening to them. I've seen men with prostate cancer that, because the prostate cancer is advanced and spread to their spine, and they basically are paraplegic, they'll stay home paraplegic, no sensation in their legs, unable to walk for 2-3 weeks. So it's fair, obviously.
Wow.
But that's why I'm here to take away that fear. Prostate cancer shouldn't be killing anyone. We can cure you minimally invasively. We can pick up prostate cancer so easily without the digital rectal that in many cases, obviously there's going to be those cases who have aggressive disease, which we can pick up with gene testing. In fact, in the last 5 years, when we do biopsies, we actually send those biopsies off for gene testing. And that can also stratify persons using AI, artificial intelligence, as to the likelihood of this disease being aggressive and we need to treat you right away, and the likelihood of recurrence once we cure you. So we can cure prostate cancer. Then years ago, we wouldn't understand why is this one having recurrence 15 years later or 20 years earlier, and this one is perfectly fine. We now have ways to determine who is likely to get recurrence and who was not.
Oh, boy.
So there's no reason anyone should be dying of prostate cancer.
Callers, we'll get to in just a second. But to Chester's question, though, so are the people that you're finding, were they having the tests? Were they coming in for their checkups? Or are you finding people who weren't doing it?
They're not doing it.
They're not doing it.
No. I mean, things have changed over the years where more and more persons are doing it. But across the board,
in most cases,
most men, even if you tell them they have high blood pressure, they're not taking their medication. And that might cause them never to even go into a doctor's office because they don't want to be told, you know what, you need to be taking these blood pressure medications. It's usually, from my standpoint as urologist, most men who come into me, it's because of erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, something's wrong. So it's the men who are not doing the PSAs.
Yeah. So then when they come for erectile dysfunction, I'll do a PSA for them. I'll diagnose them with hypertension. I'll diagnose them with obstructive sleep apnea. And that can save their life, because if you have obstructive sleep apnea, it exponentially increases your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. Yeah. It reduces your quality of life, not just for erections, but in terms of putting on weight, losing muscle mass, weakening of the bones. You can have cognitive issues. You can have depression. You can be in the worst form of male menopause. So erectile dysfunction, I've said it many times, don't suffer needlessly. Don't be a shell of your former self. Don't be a recluse. Don't lose your self-esteem. No matter what, we can get you back on track. And the most important thing is we always treat the root cause. And that treating of the root cause can save other organs, not just your male organ, from going down disaster, for whether it's your heart, your eyes, your blood vessels, etc.
Yeah. We only have a few more minutes. Callers, let's get these calls in very quickly. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. No, you're holding for a while. Good morning. Are you still there? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. Guess how you doing?
Doing well.
Right, man, it's a very important topic, right? Because everyone has been touched by this nasty disease, and someone, their loved one, has died from this, right? But my thing is, right, ask Doc if he thinks that some of this is self-inflicted in some sense, right? Because we have very poor eating habits in the Bahamas. We'll actually fry water if it is possible. We eat processed foods every single day. We wake up, some of us wake up in the morning, first thing we eat hot party, potato chip, and Coke soda. That can't be healthy. So some things have to be self-inflicted, right? Second thing I want to tell Doc, right, that he should advise people with cancer, right? Because a lot of people don't know that by the California law, they have to put labels on items that cause cancer. For example, right, your keyboard that you work on to work has cancer-causing materials in it. Your mouse pad, your fridge, even furniture has items in it that cause cancer. So they have to be aware and read labels when they ordering stuff, because they could be causing themselves harm. It actually has it on a label and say may cause cancer or birth defects. So you have to read your labels and everything. And also tell you, Doc, right, when people come to you for erectile dysfunction problems, right, tell them, first of all, don't look at your light bill too long. That could actually cause problems. Because I tried it one time, boy, I couldn't raise for nothing in the world. My light bill was almost $1,000.
Wow.
Well, you made some excellent points. Yes, stress, whether it's financial or frustrations or anything else, can negatively impact your erections. You are 100% caller. Environmental factors, what we do or don't do, can strongly influence our risk of all cancers, including prostate cancer. Many studies have shown who has the lowest risk of prostate cancer in the world. Those are usually men in Asian countries, such as Japan. In Japan, prostate cancer is almost unheard of.
Wow.
And the reason for that is the diet, and because they walk everywhere. We drive everywhere. We have very unhealthy Western diet with all the saturated fats and the processed food and the red meat.
Yeah.
There, but we don't even have to look all the way to the other side of the world for Japan. We can look at Crooked Island. We can look at Rum Key.
Wow.
We can look at Cat Island. Prostate cancer levels are very low there compared to New Providence and Grand Bahama. And that's because they live off the land and the sea. They walk everywhere. In terms of my specialty, and that's the same anywhere in the world, I have the oldest subset of patients. So I operate on persons older than anyone else because most urological problems happen as you age.
Yeah.
So I routinely will operate on men in their 90s or late 80s.
Wow.
Most of them are from these islands. And when we talk about those who are living longer and not getting prostate cancer, it's normal for me to see a 95-year-old, a 98-year-old from Rum Key who has no prostate cancer whatsoever, defies all odds, and we look at their lives, and you wouldn't believe they're 95 or 98.
Right.
But here, that's absolutely different. If I see an 80-year-old, I assume, and then when I test it, every man here has prostate cancer.
Yes.
And it's our lifelong exposure to the foods that we eat, the pollutants, the environmental, everything else. But we have our destiny in our own hands.
Yeah.
What we can do can change our path considerably.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we don't have to be, first of all, we don't need to be dying of prostate cancer. We can pick it up very early. But you need to look, if you want something to scare you, prostate cancer is going to rob you of your erections if you are diagnosed late. You're going to become a burden to your family, economically, emotionally. You don't want to see a doctor, but you're going to be in and out of the emergency room. You're going to be on a catheter. Erections are a thing of the past. You're going to have pain. You're going to have hot flashes. You're going to be miserable. Some of these drugs that we just trying to give you an extra 9 months are $10,000 a month.
Oh, my goodness.
So why are you going to be one day the primary breadwinner and the next everything that you've lived for, all of your, people take out second mortgages to try to get a few years because of prostate cancer. And it's devastating. It's devastating. So I always will try to promote, live to see your grandchildren graduate. Live to walk your granddaughter down the aisle.
Yeah.
Have those extra 20 golden years with your wife or your loved one. because too many men are being struck down with prostate cancer at 55, at 62, at 64, and they could have lived to 90.
Absolutely. Wow.
And that's a crying shame. And it's the cost in our own society is tremendous. Everybody, as the caller said, knows someone who died of prostate cancer.
Yeah.
And every one of those deaths was preventable. Yes.
Yeah. Final call, really quickly. Call you got only about 30 seconds. Good morning, you're on the air.
30 seconds. Doc, I appreciate your campaign and the investment you're putting into it to help us understand how serious this condition is.
I thank you very much.
Yes. I bet it's good to know that with my light bill coming down from 80 to 25, that sort of reduces my risk, but I'm kidding, I guess. But there are certain conditions that you can employ to increase the urine flow. And I remember asking you some time ago, a little bypass surgery, just get that urethra bypass, the prostate and have it flow. You say you don't want to get involved in God's creation. But I'm still considering that as a possibility that most people don't look at. What do you think again, Doc?
Well, I don't know about saying those words. That doesn't sound like me at all. But first-line medical treatment is a stay for every man who's going to eventually get benign enlargement of the prostate. And it goes by decades. 40% of 40-year-olds, 50% of 50-year-olds, and maybe 70% of 60-year-olds. And almost every 70-something-year-old is going to have some element of obstructing prostate, particularly men of African ancestry. First-line treatment does wonders. So you can be going from peeing every hour, every 45 minutes, afraid to have a glass of water. Worse yet, driving around with a cup because you can't even pull over to the side of the road to pee. Stop drinking liquids at 5 o'clock because you know you're going to wake up 6 to 8 times in the night to pee, and your wife's going to be pissed off. Sorry, the word pissed off, but angry at you because she's waking up as well. So you're both walking around like a zombie, drinking caffeine just to get through. That caffeine is going to cause you to pee more frequently, more urgently. So don't let it ruin your life. One medication can actually have you peeing like an 18-year-old. Maybe wake up once in the night to pee, hit in the wall with the strong flows. So eventually that medication may become ineffective, but maybe that's after 15 years, maybe after 20 years. Then you can have one of a dozen minimally invasive outpatient procedures to reduce your size of your prostate to that of an 18-year-old. You don't even need to be on medication. And then another wonderful thing that I've been trying to get done for 8-9 years is green light laser, which is basically photo vaporization. It vaporizes obstructing tissue. We're rolling that out now. We have the equipment at Doctors Hospital, so that'll also change the way we deal with obstructing prostates.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing stuff. All right. People asking how to reach you, how to find you. I guess you can do it really quickly, let people know.
Well, I have a website, Urology Care Bahamas, and a Facebook page as well, Urology Care Bahamas. My main office is at Family Medicine Center on Blake Road, and also Oak Tree Medical Center, which is 5th Terrace in Mount Royal. I'm going to speak more in depth on my radio show this evening at 6:30 to 7:30 right here on Guardian Radio, everything prostate cancer.
Yeah. And every Wednesday.
Every
you
Wednesday.
Find Dr. Pinto right here.
And not just medical. I talk about the social ills of society and everything else.
All right. Looking forward to that tonight. Thank you, Dr. Pinto. Keep up the great work that you're doing, spreading the awareness.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, I'll thank you and Chester for being my role models, but thank you.
Okay. Our pleasure. Well, we're going to take a break from news and be back with business. We're talking with NIB when we come back. Stay with us here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. It's time for a monthly series with the National Insurance Board, and we are very pleased to have back with us Assistant Manager of the Public Relations Department, Regina Baisden, and consultant Jason Moxie. Good to see you all again, and happy anniversary. You're celebrating your 51st anniversary of NIB. Good to see you all again.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. Nice being with you again.
Let's tilt that mic up there a little bit. Okay. So 51st, and you're looking back at the 50th as well. In a very special way. Tell us about the anniversary celebrations and what form this is taking.
All right. So on October 7th, we will celebrate 51 years of existence. So for us, that's a major achievement. So last year we would have been 50. In honor of that, we've produced a documentary looking back at NIB over the 50 years. I'll let Mr. Moxie talk a little bit about that. Of course, launching this documentary is just going to be filled with all the frills and all that stuff. So we're going to have a live launch event, as well as on October 7th, all of our local offices that are customer-facing will have celebratory activities. So cake cutting, giveaways, things like that at the door for that date.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So let's talk about the documentary. Why a documentary? Why was it felt this was important?
Well, I think it's important.
Let's see if we can tilt this. Okay, there we go.
I think it's first of all, I think it's important for us to appreciate the history of the National Insurance Program. So prior to the introduction of National Insurance, government provided a social assistance program in the form of old age pensions to those persons who had attained the age of 65, to persons over the age of 14 but under the age of 65 who were deemed permanently incapable of work. And it also provided survivors' assistance to the dependents of the breadwinner of the family. This particular program was funded out of the Consolidated Fund and was administered through the courts. In 1975, after the implementation of the National Insurance Program, that particular program was grandfathered into the National Insurance Program. Government continued to subsidize this program until it was determined that all of those persons had deceased.
You said the previous version was through the courts?
Exactly. It was administered through the courts.
How did that work?
Well, the persons would have made application to the court. They would appear, they would swear to an affidavit, provide the necessary documents in support of, for example, a claim for retirement, for old age pension, that they in fact had attained the age of 65. In the case of persons who were seeking to be paid invalidity assistance, they would have produced a letter from his or her attending physician deeming them permanently incapable of work. And so there was some social investigation done to determine the need. All right. And so, as I indicated, this particular program was grandfathered into the National Insurance Program in January of 1975. When it was grandfathered in, the program paid $13 per month to those persons who were receiving old age pension or invalidity assistance or survivors assistance. Immediately, it was increased from $13 to $26 in January of 1975. Since then, it has increased multiple times to, I believe the rate of payment monthly is about $309 per month. But what is most important is that as a result of this program, government decided to appoint a tripartite committee to review and to recommend to government the best form of social security for the Bahamas, having regards for the social and economic conditions that prevailed at that time. This committee consisted of persons representing government, employers, and employed persons. And they not only produced an interim, but also a final report, which was approved by the Cabinet of the Bahamas and subsequently by the Parliament of the Bahamas, and came to be known as the National Insurance Act of 1972. There were also 12 sets of regulations that were approved that provided the framework for the administration of the program. So it was not until the 7th of October 1974 that national insurance was introduced. And in the first instance applied only to employed persons. And then some 18 months later, on the 5th of April 1976, it was extended to self-employed persons.
We've got Mr. Moxie on the phone, folks. If you're calling him, he's busy at the moment, so...
I do apologize. I do apologize. So the program was then introduced on the 7th of October 19...
Let's see if Chester can get that silenced. All right, there we go.
Sorry about that. Again, as I mentioned, the program provided for the inclusion of self-employed persons on the 5th of April, 1976.
It's an important call. She can put it on silent for you.
Okay.
Yes. So as I was saying, when the program was first introduced, it initially provided for employed persons, and then on the 5th of April, it was extended to include self-employed persons. When the program was first introduced, contributions were paid based on a wage group system and was paid on the first $100 that one earned. Over the years, there have been two rate increases, the first having occurred in 2010, when the introduction of unemployment benefit came about. The rate was increased by 1%, shared equally between the employer and the employer. And then the second rate increase occurred in July of 2024, when the rate was increased by 1.5%, again shared equally between the employer and the employer. There have been multiple insurable wage increases. The last having occurred in July of 2024, when the rate or the insurable wage was increased from $740 to $810 that exists today.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of the greatest misconceptions that the members of the public have about NIB?
Well, for me, initially, when the program, I joined the board initially in 1973, when there was tremendous opposition to the introduction of the national insurance program.
Why was that? Why do you think that was?
Well, again, the opposition really emanated from the opposition party. Because 73 really was the year of independence, and you would recall there was also opposition to the Bahamas becoming an independent country.
Right.
And I had either the good fortune or misfortune of being assigned to Abaco. The then member of Parliament, Mr. Errington Watson, had petitioned the Crown for Abaco to secede from the Bahamas. And as a result of that, my reception in Abaco was not a good one. Persons refused to attend meetings, they refused to register. And so I took the opportunity to speak with the the president of the Chamber of Commerce, who indicated to me that he would arrange a meeting with his membership, provided I was able to arrange for the late minister, Sir Clifford Darling, as well as the late Earl Thompson, who was the chairman, to visit. And following their visit, reception improved. So there, and not only in the Family Islands, but even here in New Providence, there was tremendous opposition to the introduction of NIB. But today, you'd find that the majority of the persons welcome NIB because of the impact that it's had on the country. Can you imagine what the situation would have been like without national insurance during the pandemic? Where NIB continue. As a matter of fact, I just checked recently, there are in excess of 50,000 persons who are in receipt of a pension from NIB at a cost of in excess of $32 million.
What's that number again?
50,000 persons who are receiving pension from NIB at a cost of $32 million per month. Per month.
My goodness.
NIB pays out in excess of $32 million. That's just in the form of pension. I'm not talking about the payment of sickness, maternity, unemployment, funeral, and benefits under the industrial branch. That's just pension
Okay.
that NIB pays.
I want to explore this a little more. Let's take a break. We're going to deal with this mic, which keeps dropping, and I think you might need to call that person back who's trying to reach you. We're going to sort that all out and pick this up on the other side. We're talking with Jason Moxie and Regina Baisden with NIB. This is Morning Blend Guardian Radio. Stay with us.
In uncertain times, resilience is everything. That's why CFAL is inviting you to the Financial Services Event of the Year, the 2025 CFAL Pension and Economic Conference. It all happens Thursday, October 16th at 8 a.m. at the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar Convention Center. Under the theme Resilience in the Face of Global Uncertainty, this half-day conference is your chance to gain powerful insights on navigating today's shifting global economy. This is the premier networking and knowledge-sharing event of the year, and you cannot afford to miss it. So secure your spot today at www.cfal.com.
Southwest Plaza has so many stores, I've been trying to find a sensible way to list them all. There's CBS Bahamas, the Ashai Institute, BENC Snack World, Bamboo Shack Bahamas, there, the Athlete's Foot and BTC, Games and More, John Bull Fine Threads, Alive Bahari, Dairy Queen, 700 Wines and Spirits, Sandy's Clocks and Island Lock, Starbucks and Lowe's Pharmacy, plus Marco's Pizza and Lorraine. Southwest Plaza, what a wide array of stores. Southwest Plaza, stop by today and explore.
The Central Bank of the Bahamas invites students from grades 4 to college or university to compete in the Get Money Smart Bahamas video essay competition. Students must produce a 3 to 5 minute video sharing their views on the topic artificial intelligence will help boost local Bahamian financial services. Entry deadline is October 31st, 2025. Visit GetMoneySmartBahamas.com or check out Get Money Smart 242 on social media for more info.
Your solution for rising gas prices and expensive car maintenance has landed. Brand new 2026 electric vehicles from BYD have arrived at Easy Car Sales. Imagine no more gas and major savings on maintenance. Test drive a BYD EV today and save thousands with the car that redefines driving. Visit easy242.com for our 3 locations, in-house financing, and more. Easy Car Sales, the only authorized BYD dealer and warranty provider in the Bahamas.
Cozy up to autumn delights with Nassau Tile during our fantastic fall sale, September 22nd to 29th. Harvest the best deals on this season's latest designs with 20% off store-wide. Buy big and save big on all tile, thin set grout, mosaics, trims, and more. Don't delay. Prices are falling and autumn deals are calling at Nassau Tile. Call 322-2100 or visit our showroom on Dodswell Street to make your fantastic fall dream space a reality.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, Morning Blend Business. We're talking with NIB, a monthly segment with them, and talking about the 51st anniversary and the work that they do, and a documentary that is coming out. Regina Baisden and Jason Moxie was. So before the break, asked about the misconceptions and what you hear from the public, miracles they might be expecting that are outside your purview. Let's talk about that. What people need to understand about NIB that they don't seem to understand.
Well, first of all, national insurance exists to provide income replacement during the contingencies of sickness, maternity, unemployment, funeral, retirement, invalidity, survivors, and where a person suffers an accident arising out of and in the course of their employment, it provides for the payment of injury benefit, disablement, death, and free medical care. Mm-hmm. Now, I think over the years, the board has recognized that there was a level of deficiency in terms of its ability to respond and pay claims in a timely manner. I believe that has improved tremendously. Also, as it relates to the contribution history, which has been a challenge for the board as well. And that is why we've introduced an online portal that would allow for persons to access their contribution history. And they should, in fact, view it on a regular basis to ensure that their records are there. So at the time of their claims, the board would be in a position to respond immediately to the processing of the claim.
So Mr. Moxie said a whole lot in a mouthful. I just want to reiterate what he said. The first is NIB is not meant for you to survive off entirely. It's just one form of income replacement. So in particular, if we were to focus at the end of one's work life, so you're retired, or maybe you're an invalid and permanently incapable of working, or your disability doesn't allow you to work anymore. NIB is just meant to be one pillar that you're meant to depend upon. You're never going to get what your lost income is from the National Insurance Board. So we want to stress that. The second thing is, as it relates to misconceptions, people think, yeah, we do have inspectors whose job is to enforce compliance, but they don't know everything. It's impossible to expect them to know everything, and that's why we ask the public help. Think of it like you think of your employer. Yeah, you trust they're going to pay you, but at the end of the day, you're going to make sure that your salary is hitting your account the right amount and at the right time. At the same time, you want to make sure that you view your contributions. You want to make sure that they're paid correctly at the right rate, on time. If something is missing, you come and let us know, because me as an inspector, I won't know every single person in an entity, the date they get employed, their starting salary, when they get a promotion, things like that. So it's important that you take some initiative, some onus. You don't want to wait until it's time for you to put in for a claim and then you find out from customer service that, hey, your contributions are missing. It may not be anything, with some malicious intent on behalf of the employer. It's just that, maybe we just don't have those records yet and we need those records to pay benefits. So twice a year, check your contributions. Use the registration self-service portal. You don't have to come in. You could check that anytime. We've made a lot of technological advancements, serious investment in technology to make these things possible.
Yeah.
I also want to add, too, I would want to encourage persons making applications for pension to do so at least 3 months in advance of their expected date of retirement, which will allow the board sufficient time in order to verify their contribution history, so that when it's time to make payment at age 65 or whatever age they opt to receive pension from, that their records would be up to date and would allow for the claims to be processed for them to receive timely payment.
3 months ahead. All right, so you mentioned it before the break, 50,000 on pensions. Is that the most accessed service, or what else? What comes close to that?
Well, I mean, that is the major cost to the board, right? Bear in mind also that we're talking about $32 million in payout each month. Revenue from contributions might slightly exceed that amount, but it does not take into consideration, as I made mention earlier, the payment of sickness, maternity, funeral, benefits under the industrial branch, namely injury, disablement, death, nor does it take into consideration the administrative costs. So right now, the reason for as we spoke last year, the reason for the 1.5% increase is to offset the deficiency or the shortfall that the board is currently experiencing as it relates to the payment of benefit compared to contributions collected.
Right. How do the other kind of investment things stack up as well?
Well, bear in mind, the board is restricted in terms of its investment. And so you'd find that the board does a tremendous amount of financing for government, the construction of their offices. They've also have monies invested in government registered stock and treasury bond. The law was amended a few years ago that allow for the investment of the board funds overseas. And so therefore there is a return on the investments, but again, not sufficient in order to meet the board's obligation on a monthly basis.
Wow. Caller, we'll get you in just a bit. Well, let's go to the call right now, and then we'll talk about the documentary in some more depth. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, sir, to your guest. I just want some clarification. I know they say you if you're on disability and you don't get the pension. I understand that, but some people say when you reach a certain age, you get the you switch from disability to pension. Is that so? I just need some clarification on that.
All right. So I think there's a misconception or confusion about what disability is and invalidity. So what the caller is actually talking about is invalidity. That's when you're deemed permanently incapable of working by a medical referee. Of course, you would submit that claim to us. We send you to a medical referee who would confirm or say otherwise that, yes, you are permanently incapable of working for whatever the disease or ailment is that that particular claimant has. So when you are on validity, again, you are permanently incapable of working for some medical reason. So if you're permanently incapable of working, that is a pension that you will get for life or so long as that medical condition continues. So you would not be able to get that pension, what we call pension, that's the retirement benefit, because that is actually paid at the amount as if you were age 65 and getting 100% of your retirement benefit. So what happens is, like he said, that same invalidity benefit upon attaining the age of 65, we just give it a different name. It's called retirement because it's paid at that same amount. Now, disability happens or disablement really, if you have an accident on your job, something industrial, right? So that's when you would get disablement benefit. You can go on and go back to work and continue to receive that benefit, and later on get your pension as well if it's disablement benefit, unless, of course, you're assessed at 100%, in which you're not capable of working. You'd just be home collecting that benefit.
Okay. Caller, we got that. Is this a different call? Yes. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning, Jason. What's happening?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. I know all my inspectors. Keishan, McIntosh. Now I got caught up. I took an early pension, and the reason why I did that because all I do is pay government money, and government will never give me that. Even though I don't have no way, I tell Miss Ford, I said, well, why I got still pay 2%? And I said, retire. But you still got the company. So I said, yeah. Right, so I said, but no problem with that. But a couple of dollars all give me, Jason, I can't live up that. I did more than enough contribution. I pay my staff, I don't owe nothing. You can't take my card.
Well, bear in mind, the award of pension is based on the total number of contributions you would have paid into the national insurance. It also takes into consideration the insurable wage on which you pay those contributions. And if you opt to receive retirement benefit prior to the age of 65, then it's adjusted by 7% for each year you're under the age of 65. So all of those things are taken into consideration in determining the amount that you paid. No two persons will receive the same pension because everybody's circumstance is different. But at least for the first 500 contributions you would have made to NIB, you're eligible for 30% of whatever is determined to be your average weekly insurable wage based on your best 5 years of contribution to NIB. So it will vary. Regrettably, persons opt to take it at 60, and then at 65 they believe it would be adjusted to the regular amount. That does not happen.
Right.
And for those persons who know how long they got to live, if they were to delay their pension would be increased by 7% for each year over the age of 65, but not to exceed 35%, which is payable if you opt to receive it at age 70. Yeah. So, and again, pensions are not paid for those persons who are in excess currently of $810. Their pension is paid on $810. So you might be making your $1,500 per week, and I'm making $810. But all things being equal, at the end of the day, my pension would be the same as yours.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm sure you hear it a lot, people saying that I'm putting in a lot more than I'm getting out of this. Or I've heard people say, well, what if you die in your 30s or you move away to another country? What happens?
So
what happens then?
That's where the other benefits come in. So let's take the first scenario, you die, unfortunately. There are other benefits. So those contributions you put in, they're not, quote unquote, wasted. Mm-hmm. If I could backtrack a little bit, I don't think it's, a lot of people think of national insurance as a bank. You put contributions in and there's this drawdown.
Right.
It's not, right? So NIB works in solidarity. So those of us who are able to work, we pay for those who aren't able to work at that particular time for any reason. So if we were to backtrack, that person at age 30, let's assume they worked 12 years. They put in 12 years of contributions. They're not old enough to get retirement benefit. Unfortunately, they pass. So if they died as a result of an accident on their job, then their surviving dependents would get the death benefit, which is paid similar to survivor's benefit for somebody who doesn't die as a result of an accident or illness on the job. So maybe, car accident, stroke, heart attack, something like that. We pay those to the dependent survivors. Then there's an assistance that matches that if there weren't sufficient contributions that the deceased person paid into the National Insurance Board. There's the funeral benefit. Right, that's $2,000.
I think it's $2,060.
$60 right now, yes, because of the last increase. That helps with to offset the cost of the funeral benefits. So there are, other benefits that you can get that aren't limited to the pensions.
Right.
But I think what is important for persons to understand, it's solidarity of workers. Some persons will claim and be paid more than others. And so the board needs more persons who are well and who live to age 65, they get their pension. But even with pensions now, persons are living longer, resulting in pensions being paid for a longer period of time. The program was really designed for you to retire at 65 and you should die at 70 because life expectancy. Life expectancy has improved because when the program was first introduced, life expectancy for male was 69 years. For female, it was 71. Today, it's 71 and a half years for the male and 73 and a half years for female, which means that pensions, in the case of the females, are being paid for 3 years longer than anticipated, and similarly, about 2.5 years for the male. And so, therefore, all of those things are taken into consideration.
So that always begs the question, right? Do we need to raise the retirement age?
Well, I think one of the recommendations made by the actuary, because there's an actuarial review done every 5 years, and one of the recommendations was that you increase the retirement age to 67. But it's something that you cannot do immediately. It would have to be over a 30-year period.
Wow.
Or 24-year period, because they're saying you should increase it by 1 month for every year.
Really?
So therefore, that really would not have been sufficient in order for the board to meet its obligation financially.
Oh boy! Science, it definitely is, right? Let's take a few more calls, and then we'll get to the documentary. Good morning, caller, you're on the air. Hi, good morning. Are you there? Let's take the other line. Good morning. You're live on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Strachan, and to your guest.
Hi.
Good morning.
My wife has died. My wife died. They were paying me survival benefit. And I noticed after my son, which was my last child, after he graduated, they stopped.
Yes.
And then there were some people telling me that they shouldn't have stopped. They should continue paying me. But I want to know if there's something changed in that.
Nothing has changed. What the law provides for, if you qualify based on a child, right, and that child goes off age. In other words, for example, if they quit school at the age of 16, then your benefit would stop.
Whenever the child finished school, the benefit stops.
Exactly.
The last child.
Exactly.
Okay, because somebody tell me they pay you until you're dead or until you get married again.
No, not if you qualify based on a child.
Right. So it really.
So that's must be what would have happened. I didn't know.
Yes.
Because I noticed after my son had graduated, then that next month I thought I had to go verify or something.
No.
Then they said that it stopped. So that I was only qualified because of the child in school.
Exactly. Now,
I didn't know. Now I know.
Okay.
Now I didn't know that. I thought somebody tell me again. But are there people that gets it until they get married again or until they die?
Yes, there are persons.
Okay.
So again, if you qualify based on a child, it would cease when the child reaches or when the child leaves school, but not after or not before the age of 21. Where a person remarries, the surviving spouse benefit would cease, but payment in respect to the children.
But another thing, since I have you on another thing, I'm getting disability now, right? Then I reach at age for pension. I heard you told somebody else that you wouldn't get no pension, just continue getting your
let's be clear. Oftentimes, the word invalidity and disability is used interchangeably. But for national insurance purposes, there are two distinct benefits. Invalidity is paid.
Well, I'm legally blind.
Okay, so that's it. So you're getting invalidity benefit.
Right.
Okay,
So,
I'm legally blind.
Right. So when you would have reached the age of 65, it would automatically be converted to retirement.
Okay, but I'll be getting the same money.
Yes, the same money. Nothing changes. Even though you may have qualified for invalidity base, say, for example, on 200 paid contributions, the award of retirement benefit is payable only after a person would have made 500 contributions.
Well, I made way more than
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, the law allows for that conversion to take place automatically.
Right.
Even though you...
I asked that, right? Because I wanted to compare my retirement money with what I'm getting now, and then I thought I'd maybe go with the highest one.
No, that won't change.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that won't change.
Okay. But I must commend you all. National Insurance is on the ball because they paid me on my highest contribution that I was putting in.
Yes.
That is
and then they called me, and I really forgot. I was working at the Liverpool Club.
Okay.
I was working at the Liverpool Club when I was a young man, and I honestly forgot that. And that's what they're paying me on.
Good.
I said, wow, but I came out the good work, man. You're doing well.
Okay.
Thank
you very much. Appreciate it.
Let me ask quickly, why would he not have known that his survivor's benefit was linked to the child?
Well, again, when he would have made application, on the application you would indicate whether or not you're employed, whether or not you have any dependent children. If you have no dependent children and you are employed, then that means you don't qualify for survivor's benefit.
Okay.
You would get a survivor's grant. In other words, what will happen is that they will calculate the pension to which the deceased person would have been entitled to and pay you one lump sum payment, the equivalent of 1 year's benefit.
Okay.
In the case where there is a child that qualifies the individual, then he would get 50% of what the deceased person would have been entitled to for a pension, but a minimum of $350, and then it would be 10% for each child, but a minimum of $147 or thereabout for each child.
Right.
All right, but a maximum of 5 children can be paid along with a surviving spouse.
Okay.
Now, if that amount, if there are more than 5 dependent children, then we can only pay, as I said, up to 5.
Right.
However, if one should go off and there's still a child under the age of 16 or 21 and still in school, then they can add that person.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you for that. One more call. Good morning. You're on the air. Hi. Good morning. You're live on the air.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning, Jessica. Good morning to the gentleman.
Hi.
Yeah, I was great information. You know, I'm about to reach the final line, but I just wanted to know a question as relates. I understand. I guess if the children, what's the parameters on the age of the children if you die to get some benefits from national insurance? It has to be what? What's the limit?
So the children are paid up to the age of 16 automatically.
So what happens if they're beyond the parameters and I die? Well, who gets it? A wife? Nobody? What happens if?
Then there's no payment. There's no obligation for the board to pay. There is an order.
So if the children reach big and I still paying them and I die, nobody. But what about if I have a wife? My wife.
Your wife may qualify. So there's an order of priority: the surviving spouse, dependent children, orphans, parents, in that order of priority.
So another question is, what if I put a beneficiary on it and and it isn't a wife or whatever?
No, we don't operate like private insurance. You don't name.
So you just pocket the money?
No. So the law is very specific. So like Mr. Moxie said, you have the surviving spouse, you have dependent children, you have orphans, and if there are none of those, then dependent parent of the deceased. And even in the case of the child, while we say that the maximum age is age 16, which is the school leaving age, it may be paid up to age 21 as long as the person is in school or receiving training at least part-time, but they're not remunerated for such training.
But you said a lump sum for grown children.
No. Only for the spouse. In other words, if I should die and my wife is still employed, there are no dependent children, then she will receive the equivalent of 1 year's benefit to which I would have been paid.
Right.
So if, for example, my monthly pension would have been $1,000, she would receive a one-time lump sum payment of $12,000.
Right. And that's a recent amendment to just take into account that there are some spouses for their economic situations won't qualify for any payment. You still want to, give them something.
Right. Okay. Really quickly, this texter is asking, I don't think it works like this. But anyway, they say, why does NIB let so many employers get away with not paying NIB for their employees? It's not. Not quite how it works.
That's not that does not happen. Except, for example, the law does not allow inspectors to visit private homes, and so there might be persons who are employed in private homes, like the gardeners and the housekeepers, and so therefore, unless they come and complain to NIB, then there's really nothing we can do because of a right of entry. But any place of business that exists in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the inspector has a right of entry to first ascertain whether or not the business is registered, whether or not the employees are registered, and whether or not contributions are being paid. As it relates, as I said, to domestic house, unless there's a sign indicating that they're doing business within that house, then the inspector has a right. So we encourage domestic employees who feel as though their employer is not paying for them to visit the board, make inquiries. They would provide a report, and then there would be a follow-up to make contact with the domestic employer.
Right. What Mr. Moxie said is very, very, very important. NIB is, of course, a creature of statute. So, while we hope the inspector ought to know everything, and while they are guided by and they're given these powers by the Act, there's only so much they can do. So they can come in, you file a complaint, you let us know your employer is not paying. They come in, they demand records, they put this case together, we send it up to our legal department for prosecution. Of course, we have to wait for that case to be heard. And it's, so I mean, there's a whole long process to this, but ultimately we want to encourage persons to take your compliance status into your own hands. Check to make sure that your employer is paying, and if they're not, let us know.
Yeah.
Keep records.
Absolutely.
But let me just make this point as well. What is also important is that, a number of employers fail to register and pay contributions on behalf of their employees. And so at the end of the day, that same employee would come into the board and say, well, look, I worked with Jason Moxie for 10 years. Now, as the employer, you have to pay both the employee and the employer's portion of the contribution. You cannot recover that.
Right.
And so therefore, I want to warn employers who fail to register and to pay contributions on their behalf, and they have persons employed, and that person at some point in time come into the board to make a claim, and there's no record. Now you don't have an opportunity to recover those contributions.
Right.
You got to pay both the employee and the employers plus interest on outstanding.
Wow. Okay. So the documentary. Let's talk about that. How this process went and what we can expect in it.
Well, I think the documentary highlights the evolution of NIB, where it speaks to, for example, some of the major achievements during our 50 plus years of involvement. I want to identify maybe a few, like the repeal of workmen's compensation, which was replaced by the industrial branch of the National Insurance Program, the drug prescription plan, which was introduced by the National Insurance Program, I think it was either 2008 or 2009, the construction of the clinics, not only on the island of New Providence, but in the family island, to improve the health infrastructure of the country. And just for clarity, oftentimes person said, well, NIB just took their money and construct clinic, but that was not the case. When the program was introduced in 1974, workmen's compensation was to be repealed and replaced by, workmen's compensation was to be repealed and replaced by the industrial branch of NIB. That did not happen until 1980. So there was 6 years that NIB collected contributions from employers that were just sitting there. And so the board then consulted the International Labour Organization as to what should be done with these funds. And it was recommended that since our health infrastructure was poor and there was limited services, not only in New Providence but on the family island, that the funds should be used in order to construct these clinics. Which resulted in the clinics being constructed to make it available to employed persons should they suffer an injury while in the course of their employment. And so that was the reason for the construction of the health clinics, which eventually were turned over to the Ministry of Health by NIB.
Excellent.
The other thing was...
were they run by NIB before?
Well, the Ministry of Health, we made them available to the Ministry of Health for their operation. They were outfitted by NIB and eventually was turned over to the Ministry of Health for their continued operation. And then also the introduction of unemployment benefit, which occurred in 2010. And then the other would be the financing of the construction of government buildings.
Yeah.
So all of these things are highlighted in the documentary.
Excellent. Where can we see the documentary? And we do have some trivia questions. It's going to be tied to how we give this away. You want to do that first? Let's do that.
Sure.
Regina?
So just to give the listening audience a chance to win 2 tickets to the event, the launch event, 2 questions I want to ask. In what year did the National Insurance Board open its doors? And what was the percentage for the rate increase last year? Mr. Moxie covered both of those. We were all over the radio last year talking about it as well.
All right, so how does it work? You want the first person to call in to answer...
It can be call or text, whomever.
Any one of those, and they'll
Both. Just both.
You have to answer both.
Uh-huh.
You have to answer both questions.
Which year did NIB open its doors? And what was the percentage of the rate increase last year? Again, that's for one winner and their guest. So we are launching that documentary on October 7th. It's by invite only.
Okay.
And then at some point it's going to be rolled out to the public.
Excellent.
How
long is
discuss
it?
that later. It's a little over an hour and
about an hour and a half max.
Okay.
Yeah, with credits and everything.
Excellent. All right, so I've got a couple people texting in. You can text us 422-4796, or you can call in 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259.
That looked like it did.
I don't know. The percentage is right. 1974 and 5%.
No.
What? Something's wrong there. Another texter says 1974 and 1.5%. There you go. That's the winner there. Okay, you got it. Somebody was calling in. Were you going to get it? It's too late now. Anyway, so we'll give you the number for this person. You can contact. Congratulations. We've got tickets.
Do you think they mistexted? They forgot the 1 point?
Maybe. The previous person. Yeah. All right. And again, what's it called? The documentary.
So I think it's NIB
50.
We'll get
but it's a look back at NIB over the 50 years.
So the event is a screening.
It is definitely a screening. It's a whole big to-do-mint.
Okay. Excellent. Well, congratulations again. Keep up the great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Regina Baseman and Jason Moxie. And again, October 7th for the documentary.
Yep.
Congratulations to our listener, Chester Robards. Thank you for being here this morning.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you next week, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Be sure to pick up today's National Guardian for the Guardian Business section. This portion of the show brought to you by CFOWL, growing wealth for future generations. Have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green next.
Nothing beats a Chickchani Challenge. On September 27th, we're bringing the action, a 5K course packed with 20 thrilling obstacles. Start and finish at Fusion Superplex with energy, fun and excitement all around. First time? No problem. Try the Chickchani Light version, built just for beginners. Got kids? Ages 3 to 7 can take on their very own Chickchani Kids Challenge. And this year, we're turning 10. So grab your team, mark your calendar, and come celebrate with us. Visit chickchanichallenge.com to sign up today. Thanks to our sponsors Fusion Superplex, Guardian Radio 96.9, Kalina, RBC, Advantage Insurance, Party Pilots Rentals and Events, Fincastle Media Group, Powerade, Click, and Art of Graphics.
What if your bank or credit union faced financial trouble tomorrow? Would your money be safe? That's where the Deposit Insurance Corporation comes in. For 25 years, the DIC has been working to ensure your Bahamian dollar deposits in financial institutions are protected, so you can bank with confidence. And now, we're inviting you to learn more in a fun and family-friendly way for free. Join us Saturday, September 27th at the Bahamas National Trust from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the DIC experience. Enjoy live entertainment, food vendors, and interactive booths, all while discovering the power of financial literacy. Whether you're saving for school or starting a business, understanding how deposit insurance works helps you make smarter money moves. It's your money. Know how it's protected. To learn more, visit www.dic.bs or follow us at DIC Bahamas. The DIC, safeguarding your Bahamian dollar deposits.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.